then as the city roars. Tune in loud, turn up some more. Cincinnati show, it's time to play. Sports with strawberry ice today. 5:30 sharp, don't be late. TTV, the sports awaits. Strawberry ice, he's on the mic, energy, it's pure delight. Every touchdown, every goal. Feel the pulse, it's in your soul. Cincinnati heartbeats strong. Strawberry ice will lead the throng. Every touchdown, every goal. Feel the pulse, it's in your soul. Cincinnati heartbeats strong. Strawberry ice will lead the throng. Feel the crowd, it's electric now. Shouting loud, they all know how. CTV got what we crave. Sports with ice, it's waves and waves. Tigers strike and Bengals roar. Every game we want some more. Tune it in and feel the thrill. Strawberry ice, he's giving chills. 5:30 sharp, don't be late. TTV, the sports awaits. Strawberry ice, he's on the mic, energy, it's pure delight.
Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the show. We are live at Moerlein Lager House. Can I get a go Reds? That was awful. Dragon. Let's go Reds. Even the Red Sox fan even said it. All right, guys, come on now. We got a very special guest today. Bronson Oreo is going to be here, or actually is here. He's right over that way. We're going to be interviewing him, and then he's going to be down here doing a live concert for his new album. So come on down. It's happy hour at Moerlein Lager House. It starts at 3 o'clock. It goes till 9. That means $5 drafts, well drinks, and $2 off appetizers. So come on down. Let's have a great time. All right, let me bring in my boys. If I can make sure I click on everything here. There's Neil. There's Joe. What's up, boys?
Hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you guys?
I'm excited. This is a nerve-wracking but fun experience.
We get to talk about, just even momentarily, we get to bask in a win from a Cincinnati football team for the first time.
27-20.
36 days was the last time in Cincinnati either the Bearcats or the Bengals won a football game. So
the ball,
it's nice to bask in it. I know we're not going to the Bengals, thank God, because it's exhausting.
The ball finally bounced our way for once.
That's the outlet was a long time ago. That was the dumbest thing I've ever seen anybody do on a punt. Like, just get out of the way. Worst case, it's a 20-yard punt.
Yeah, and they probably win the game. They gave us the game.
Yeah, it was. They would have had it in plus territory.
Yeah. Anyway,
make the losing mistakes for once.
Neil, I know you got some Bearcat news.
Yeah, a lot of news surrounding Cincinnati football today. Dante Corleone announced he's returning yesterday. The Godfather, All-American. Cincinnati parted ways with Kerry Combs this afternoon as well. So big news coming out of the Bearcats on the football aspect. But transfer portal's open, so. Stay tuned over there. Going to be a lot of interesting news and stuff this week.
Sounds good. All right, let's get to the reason. Not everyone wants to sit here and listen to us talk. Hey, you're down here for this guy. Let's give it up for former Red Bronson Arroyo. What's up, Bronson?
I'm doing good.
How are you?
Can't complain.
Awesome. Well, I want that move over there. There we go. All right, that's better. So. How's it been? You've been busy doing some music. You got an album coming out here soon, or already has come out.
Yeah, I've been traveling a bit. Came from the Dominican Republic recently, and from where else did I go? Costa Rica. But
nice.
In the middle of that, I've been trying to make this record. I've been writing songs with a 29-year-old kid around town here named Joe Jordan. He's written about 4,000 songs for other artists.
Wow.
And we wrote on a record before, a couple of songs. And I just had these folky ideas that I wanted to try to get finished, and I didn't think I could do it myself. So in that process, these songs, every day, you'd listen back to what you wrote that day at like midnight, and it just felt like that's the best song I've ever written, and that's the best song I've ever written. And every day it felt like that. So I just thought I had to do something with the songs. So I'm just getting them out and playing them for people because I think the stories are beautiful.
Hey, it's awesome. I got to listen to it. Go ahead, Joe. I think you're gonna say something.
I mean, I always have something to say. What is their process? I mean, you've been playing music for years and years, but what's the process like? At least how big of a change is to actually have to worry about recording, going into a studio, doing all the tracking everything. Like, I don't really know if it's anything you can even compare it to anything, you know, in baseball career or anything.
Right. Well, I think 2 years ago I put out a record called Some Might Say, and it's all rock and roll. You know, it's in a studio in LA doing all the proper things that you're talking about. And that's a bit of a process because, you know, it's long hours. You're there doing take after take after take to try to get it right. With this folky stuff that I've been writing with Joe, I've been recording it myself in Loveland with a buddy of mine, Chris Lambert. And it's just been the easiest process of all time. I'm playing the guitar on it. The first time I've ever played a guitar on a record. And, you know, everything is not to the click track. I'm playing free form. And so I wanted it to feel like I was playing around a campfire for you, or at least when you listen to the record, I wanted you to be able to hear me on an acoustic guitar and know that that is exactly the same thing that went into that computer. And it's been fun, and it's been more satisfying. It's probably the most enjoyable music I've ever listened to back that I've created, you know?
Yeah, I sent you the link to the album. They all sound great to me. I can't remember I text you which one I like was my favorite. I can't remember which one I said. Right, like I'm terrible. I know. Yeah. I know songs. Like Joe, me and him, I will lyric. I don't know the names of the freaking songs.
Yeah,
I always forget them. But
yeah, and I got weird names in here too, man. They're like Lucky Penny and Skate.
I gotta switch mics here. So, where can everybody get the album?
You can wherever you listen to your music. If you buy stuff on iTunes, you can buy it. If you do Spotify, if you do Apple Music, if you do Tidal, if you do Amazon, if you do YouTube, wherever you listen to your music, you'll be able to find it. It's called Bronson Oreo Life Lessons. There's just eight songs on it. It's kind of in between an EP and an album. And I purposely did that just because I'm putting another album out probably in about 60 days and another one right after that. I'm just going to go bang, bang, bang. I want these 24 songs out. But, you know, if you're going to make vinyl records, having 4 songs on each side is about all you can fill up. So
no one knows what vinyl. Neil doesn't know what a vinyl record is.
Yeah, he does.
I definitely do.
Hey.
We grew up on vinyl records.
Yeah,
That's exactly what they are.
Hey, the young kids are getting it. They're getting the 90s jeans and they're back in. Yeah,
My son bought a record player. I'm like, really?
I'm proud my 15-year-old has a record player. Now he's playing hip hop and R&B, and I mean, it's fine. Like he can listen to whatever the hell he wants to, but you got to play some old rock and roll. You know, they're on some old, like, I don't know, Stones or Zeppelin or something.
My son
hear
loves
the
the
scratches
Beatles.
in it, hear the imperfections in it.
Imperfections.
And the sound is deeper and truer anyway. Right. So it's, you know.
I tried to blend those two ideas together earlier this year. I bought a vinyl of Snoop Dogg's Doggy Style, the album, and to listen to it on a crappy record player and to hear awesome. Doggy Style is dope.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's just like, you know, it just makes you feel like you're in some different space, you know.
That's that. Hey, they always come up with new stuff, but there's nothing like some things you can't replace. You just can't replace the sound, the feeling, any of that stuff.
It's a truer sound.
Yes.
When music gets compressed digitally, it loses a lot when it gets uncompressed, and it still sounds good. You can still, you know, a great singer still sounds fantastic, but it's just the full depth. You hear, you know, all of the highs and the lows. I mean, especially when it comes to the percussion and bass and everything. I think that's between bass and drums, you lose a lot.
That's why on these albums, I wanted these stories to stand on their own, so I don't have them compressed and layered a lot like you talk about. You know, there's mostly just cello, piano, my acoustic guitar, my vocal on almost all the songs. There's a little bit of bass here and there. There's a little bit of percussion, but it's easily listening, and it's you know, it's in contrast to rock and roll. But you know, I just never feel like you have to just do one thing. And so I had all these folky ideas that I wanted to expand upon, and it just turns out that I'm really enjoying it.
So I know two ladies in here, my wife and my daughter, are huge Masked Singers fans. And the funny thing is, a couple weeks ago when I talked to you, we confirmed to come do this. I was telling Joe, I said, yeah, Bronson's going to come here. He goes, I think he's on the Masked Singer. I was like, really? Okay, I don't know. I said, we'll find out maybe. But you were. So how was that, and how the hell hard is it to sing in a dog costume? Who come up with the dog costume by the two?
Well, you know, they'd been asking me for a couple of years if I would do the show, and it just never worked out in my schedule. And I really wasn't sure if I wanted to do it because, you know, playing music around town here, like this past year with a full band, we played 18 shows. And, you know, we're giving you Nirvana and Pearl Jam and the Beatles. But the one thing that I hear almost every night from somebody who's never seen the band is, hey, I came out, my friend said you guys were okay. And I listened and I didn't know what to expect. And I thought maybe it wasn't going to be so good.
Right.
But we had a great night. Thank you. And so I know you're butting up against the idea of being a baseball player playing music. So to go on The Masked Singer felt a little hokey to me. It was like you're just adding to that hokiness of it. You know what I mean? So it took me really to writing these 30 songs with Joe to feel like, okay, I'm going to go do The Masked Singer because I feel like I've got these 30 songs in my back pocket that I'm really proud of.
Right.
And so that allowed me to kind of say yes to it. And then, you know, it was a ball. It was long days. Some days were 12 hours, and nobody could know who you are ever.
Right. Ever. Yeah.
Ever.
How hard is that? Because you got to have a mask.
You got to
on
be.
your face,
You're
everything,
covered up from head to toe.
Right.
All day, every day.
You got to cover your hair up.
You're wearing a sweatshirt that says "Do not talk to me." They don't want to hear your voice. They don't want to know if you're white or black. They're leaving it as is, and you're in your trailer a lot alone. But you know, it wasn't bad. It was like I had my guitar with me. I was playing some of the songs we had written.
Right.
And then you're kind of working through choreography, a vocal coach, and stuff you're doing on the stage and making sure your outfit's good. But I can move good in my outfit. When you asked about like how it was to sing in that, I mean, everybody else's outfits were way worse than mine, and it was still a challenge. I mean, you know, the head fit perfectly, but you can only hear from your in-ears. You can't see anything below like people's shoulders. So they're asking you to like go down these stairs and maybe do a turn right here and do this and that.
Walking like that.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
I would say the amount of people who you were compared to or who they thought you were was pretty impressive. Eddie Vedder obviously seems like an obvious one, you know, consider how much you're a Pearl Jam fandom, and I've got questions for you about that here in a second. But
no,
I
really?
think Hozier. Who were some of the other guys that you were?
Oh, they said
guest
Scott.
I mean, Hozier's got amazing.
They said
That's
Hozier,
a hell of a
Scott Stapp from Creed. They said that Brandon Boyd from Incubus. I think
right.
Those are all really good singers, by the way, to be compared to.
Well, I think you know most of the people that I've seen, at least on the show, are usually singing really more of a clean kind of R&B voice or whatever, like a pop voice.
Yeah.
And when the first song I sang was Under the Bridge, and you can hear a little bit of, that gravel in my voice, like a Kurt Cobain. So that immediately, puts them in that world probably of thinking about 90s alternative. And it's also part of the reason why I wanted to take a stab at these folky songs too, because singing folky songs with a little bit of rock and roll grit in it felt like, oh, that might work. I don't know what it's going to sound like, but let's see.
Now, did you have somebody help you pick the songs out, or was it all just you?
So the process was basically they contacted you. They gave you a really long questionnaire about what kind of music you like, what kind of music is your favorite in all these different genres, and then they came up with a list, and I came up with a list, and then basically I went on a Zoom call with an acoustic guitar, and I just played them these songs, and I just changed the key, like you want it lower, you want it higher, and then the vocal coach was like, let's try it lower, and we would just change the key of all these songs until we found where we wanted to. Then we had a master list of like 10, and then they started negotiating with me a little bit as the show was going on. They were like, well, maybe can we try this song? And I'm like, well, I don't know the song, so we could try it, but I don't know it. It's not like built into me, so I'm going to have to see what happens over the next couple of days. And as you're pushing towards that stuff, because there were some songs that I really wanted to get to, and they were like, well, we're going to save that one for the finals. And I'm like, what if we don't get to the finals?
Right, exactly.
I was like bummed.
You got to be confident, Bronson.
Yeah. There was a song I really wanted to sing, and they were like, no, we got to wait till the grand finale if you're going to sing that one.
Oh, we got Harrison here. What's up, Harrison? Welcome to the show, man. How are you, sir?
Hey, everybody.
How are you feeling that the Bengals actually got to win? Are you good?
I'm hurt.
You're hurt?
I'm actually glad we don't win that much anymore. I forget how to act. Yeah, I celebrated like it was a Super Bowl last night.
I think we all did.
No Boys to Men songs out.
No Boys to Men, but as I drove past, I might do another video. I might need a song. So if you got
so Bronson, this is Harrison. He is a comedian. Some people think he's a TikTok comedian, but he's an actual comedian. He actually gets paid to do it. So, and he did one of the greatest Boys to Men impersonations ever. You need to go on.
That is cool, man. I saw Theo Vaughn over here like last year. Somebody was friends with him, and you watch the craft, man. It's like watching somebody with an acoustic guitar. In a way, it's like it's really cool to think about what's going through your mind as you're delivering the goods.
I never want to know what's going on through his mind ever. That'd be a very scary place.
I don't even know what goes on in my mind. Yeah.
Best leave on leave that alone.
What you about to say something smart?
I always got plenty of smart stuff.
You know
to say,
what?
but we're here. We're not here for you.
We're not.
We're not here.
I know the beautiful hair, man. That's amazing.
You know what's funny? Joe still hasn't figured out that nobody can hear you.
I figured that out.
You pointing with the mic.
I think they can figure out what I'm saying. There's a microphone here. There's a microphone.
So Bronson, back to The Masked Singer. Talk about the filming process. Obviously, it aired a couple weeks ago. Just talk about, obviously, you had to go out to LA and film it. Just talk about what that process was like for you.
Yeah, well, the first thing was that they wanted you to, just not tell anybody,
Yeah.
right? I mean, sign an NDA for a TV show or whatever.
You couldn't tell your wife, couldn't tell anybody.
You could tell, people that you had to. They wanted you
Okay.
to keep it to
Yeah.
whatever tight group of people, 2 or 3 that you needed to.
Right.
And so, we got some dates. I went out there kind of late. I was one of the last people to get there. So on the first day, I actually when you guys watch me sing Under the Bridge on that episode, I showed up that day.
Oh wow.
Oh, wow. That's
Right. So it was like I was kind of behind the 8 ball compared to everybody else. So I didn't have any choreography or anything that day. It was like throw them right into the pit and let's do it.
Good
then-
luck.
And then after that, the days got a little longer where it was like you're working on songs you don't know, like the Miley song I'd never really heard before. So you're working that out on the guitar and making sure that it's in the key that you feel comfortable with. You're working with the vocal coach and you're talking about, even just, the Sherlock Hound costume that they made for you. I mean, they're making adjustments while it's on you, man, like daily. And you don't like this and you don't like that. Let's resew that. It was really cool process to kind of see how they all work and they have their own little thing that they do inside of that world. And then, you would do all that work during the day. You'd have a little bit of a break and they'd bring you whatever food you wanted. I'm like me, I'm like easy, man. I just like do things myself.
Right.
So after day 1, the girl that was kind of my point person, she was like, hey, Bronson, I'm going to need you to need something. Like, she's like, there's showrunners and they need something to do. And like, I need you to be spoiled. So I'm like, okay. So it's like, I'll take, these kind of eggs in the morning. I'll have some sushi at midday.
Right,
And I'll have this
right.
for dinner. And you can bring me some soap and some razors. And she was like, thank you. I'm like, man.
I don't need anything.
I try to be easy, yeah. But then it would get into the evening. And
Right.
then it was like the show was going to start. And then you'd go into the place in the arena, basically. And you'd kind of be in your own little room. But you can hear what's going on a little bit. And the crowd would start getting ramped up with comedians. Or, if Nick Cannon was coming out, or you'd hear people singing songs or whatever, and they would be hyping this place up. And it felt like a rock show before you walked out there, I can't imagine being like John Elway and never been on a stage maybe in your life with a microphone in your hand and having to pull that off. Because
That'd be crazy.
for me, it was a lot of work, and I've been singing for 20 years.
Right.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So how did you come up with the costume or they gave it
No,
to
so they are so professional at what they do. They came at you with a whole theme and reasons why. And we feel like you're this type of character based on the person we think you are. And, it was like
so they think you're a hound dog?
it was, I don't remember exactly the conversation when they pitched it to me, but it was like, it's like, you're a curious person, Bronson. You're like, you're thoughtful. Like there was these reasons why
Right.
they had that outfit for me. And one of the funniest things was after I sang the first time, the next day I was with the vocal coach and he said, I'm probably not supposed to tell you this, but I was in Nick Cannon's trailer last night with his boys after the show was over. And he said, I don't know who's in that dog outfit, man. He's like, I think that's Snoop Dogg. He said he's got too much swag, man. So it was just hilarious. So when I got my head pulled off, I looked at Nick and I was like, Snoop Dogg, huh?
Oh, shit. What happened?
He was laughing.
So how did they come up with? They do different clues and all that stuff. Do they just ask you different questions to try to figure it out, or do you help them come up with the story?
Yeah, so weeks in advance, you're being interviewed by different people and they do their specialty on the show. And some of it was like, what was your childhood like? Has it been difficult? Do you have bad relationships? How's your world been? They're picking you apart a little bit
Right.
because they want to come up with a story. And if you watch other people's stories that I was going up against, almost all of them are some sort of, not a tragedy, but like life has been hard and I've overcome.
Right.
And I didn't come from that place. Like I worked out in the weight room with this father at age 5 and 6. And I was, I'm an 8-year-old kid, man. I weigh 60 pounds. I squat 255, deadlift 235, and bench 130 at age 8, And so in that time, he was talking to me about philosophy of life. And so by the time I was 18 and, my brain was operating like a 30-year-old. And so I've navigated around the world to where my story doesn't really have much negativity in it.
Right.
And so they wrote a script for me that was a little bit more of my style by taking in, the information that I was giving them.
That's cool. And one thing I know I always bring this up because I didn't know this about you till I met you, about your dad and how much you worked out and how that molded you into the person you are. And I just like 8-year-olds deadlifting that much
Right,
weight.
it's ridiculous.
Yeah. How did that come about? Just talk about your dad.
Yeah.
And that
Well, he
aspect.
was so. I'll play a song tonight too that's coming out on the next record called "I Want You to Know," and it directly talks about being in the weight room with my father. But it started because he asked me if I wanted to play a sport, and I said yeah when I played t-ball, and he just realized that I could throw the ball across the infield like a 12-year-old compared to most of the little kids. And so because I could throw a ball across the infield naturally, we'd never really played catch. He was already lifting crazy weight in the weight room with his friends. So in the Keys in the 70s, there was a big thing about squat, bench, and deadlift.
Right.
And so his friends were benching 400 to 500 pounds and squatting 600 and 700 pounds. He thought, I'll put Bronson in the weight room and get him at least a free education in college.
Nice.
And so that just started this process, and he was just dedicated to the craft. So there was never a day that we missed.
Yeah.
Like you would never find a Major League Baseball player who missed a day at the park. It doesn't exist.
Right.
Well, that's how my life was. So by the time I got to the rookie league, I've been lifting now for 12 years. You know, I'm a 16.
And back in the 70s, like for me, 70s, 80s, baseball especially, it was frowned upon to lift weight, especially if you're a hitter, because they say it would throw your swing off. Now you're being a pitcher.
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
you weren't always a pitcher. You played
Yes.
infield too. So that's what's interesting to me because it wasn't as much of an emphasis as it is now.
Yeah, because people just didn't understand. You know, I mean, there are people who still think that fat and muscle are the same thing, but it's just that
What are you trying to say?
that the muscle gets soft and it turns into fat, like not knowing it's
Right.
just two different
Right.
DNAs. Well, the weight room, people didn't understand. We were lifting extremely heavy weight. We were only pushing 3s, 4s, and 5s.
Right.
So if you want to get big and bulky, and maybe it does bother your swing, to do what Arnold Schwarzenegger was doing is to lift heavy weight multiple times, 12s to 15s to 20s to 30s, and doing 5 and 6 sets of each. That's how you blow the muscle up.
Right.
I was just making the tendons and ligaments strong by holding this weight.
Right.
And we were doing 3s, 4s, and 5s. So I was a little skinny kid.
Right.
And it wasn't doing anything to me except making my bat speed better, making my running speed better, and making me a hardy player. But people didn't understand that. And back then, they really were weird about it. So they'd be like, you're going to stunt his growth. He's going to be 5'6".
Yep, I heard all that stuff. Yeah.
And it's like, no, you guys have it ass backwards, man. Like, you
Right.
don't get it.
Yeah, we understand it now. It's completely different. All right. Harrison, you got anything?
I just love your hair. Like it's just amazing. Like
You can't touch it; it's inappropriate.
But you know what's funny?
It's like I can't touch your hair.
But
can't touch it.
you know what's weird? For a long time, I didn't think I could have long hair. So I went all through childhood, and my hair is kind of curly by nature. My father's from Cuba, so I got kind of kinky curly hair. And I didn't know what a flat iron was. I didn't know what anything was. I thought when you saw a girl at the club and she had curly hair, she had curly hair.
Right.
And when you saw a girl at the club with straight hair, the shit was straight.
Right, exactly.
Not knowing all the
no.
So when I got a little bit, I grew it out to put it in cornrows for the 2004 season.
Do you know he wore cornrows?
I did not.
Yes.
I missed
I
that.
will pull.
You got to bring the picture
So I'm
up.
pitching for the Boston Red Sox. We're in the. I don't lose a game for the back half of the season. 15 straight starts without losing a game. My hair's in cornrows the whole time.
That's including the World
And
Series
so-
run, right?
That's in 04 when we win the World Series. So by the time I start against the Yankees in the playoffs, there's like hairstylists around Fenway Park doing cornrows for me.
Right. It was a thing.
And so I grew my hair out for that. That's why I grew my hair out. And then I realized, okay, let me try to get through the junky stage of it being wacky. And then I figured out, you can do stuff to it. You can put keratin in it. You could take care of
You
yourself
put product in
and try to make it work.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So it's a
Little
process,
solo.
but I just don't want to be one of those dudes that's like, you know what? I'm getting too old to have long hair. Let me cut it off. Like, no, I'm good.
Let that thing shine, baby. Let that thing shine.
All right, Joe. I know you're dying to ask some Pearl Jam stuff
Well,
here.
I got first couple questions.
Go ahead.
Got a buddy of mine, Joey's in Canada. He's a bassist in a pop punk band. He's got a question. Do you use ear monitors? And if so, do you like them?
I usually don't. I usually have one or two in, but I have them poured to my ear, but they won't be connected to anything. I'm listening through the wedges, and I wish I'm probably going to start doing it here soon. It's just like, your ears take a beating from the loud sounds, and I probably need to start doing it. But everybody in my band, nobody uses in-ears.
Okay.
And we play a lot of shows around town with a band called the Hot Red Chili Peppers. They do all, and Brent James and that band, they all use in-ears. And I look at their stuff and I'm like, it seems a little complicated, but once you get it down, it's going to be very comfortable. So I don't know. We might push through it one day, but
they played before you guys at Sycamore Township, didn't they?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
yes,
They were a fun band too.
They're great.
Where
Yeah.
people were having Bronson sign paper plates.
Yeah.
Paper plates.
So to get to my question that Jeff was alluding to, first off, what were your thoughts of Dark Matter? Yeah, the album itself.
the last two Pearl Jam records. Well, yeah, going back one before this, it took me a while to like appreciate. It took me a lot of listens
Of Gigaton.
to get into that one. Yeah. But then Gigaton, exactly. But then Dark Matter, you know, I listened to the first 3 songs. I was like, okay. And then it started getting really interesting for me. And I felt a lot of Tom Petty in there and
A lot of Tom Petty.
And it started feeling like, oh man, this has got something to it. And then seeing them live this past year, man, some of those songs like React Respond or
That was,
I mean, dude,
yeah.
I didn't know if they were to come across live, but they were really, really good. But the band is so darn good now. My buddy
They're
Josh,
so tight.
they're so tight. My buddy Josh Klinghoffer's in the band now.
Oh, he tours with
And
them.
he's back behind McCready, and even just the little shakers in the piano and the little bass he's playing. Man, it's really worth going to see Pearl Jam these days.
So where did you get a chance to see him?
I saw him at a makeup show in Indianapolis.
Okay, we my lovely wife right over there. We went and saw him at Wrigley, which was cool as hell.
Awesome.
So and just
Did
did not
they
disappoint.
start the show with the white backdrop that looked like the Earth or whatever? And it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
that whole production they're doing on this tour was really
The only
cool.
we were down the first base line, and it was kind of a sharp angle. So and they didn't have any of the video boards, so I couldn't see a
Got
ton of what was going on. But
Yeah.
I mean, even if I couldn't see a damn thing, just listening to them, I mean, that's my favorite
Listening
band.
to them's
I'll
worth
listen to
enough.
them. Anyway.
They're sounding better and better now. They've really got it dialed. I almost felt like the band wasn't too loud. Sometimes you think bands are too loud, but this last time I was like, man, they've got the volume really controlled.
Yeah,
it
absolutely.
felt really good.
So I got a couple questions here from Crib Keeper here. He says, Mr. Arroyo, do you like Martin acoustic guitars?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I brought here today was a Martin. I'm kind of illiterate though a little bit to equipment. I always have been.
We were having a discussion before.
Yeah, we're
before
talking
the show
about
started, yeah.
audio equipment, and I'm terrible
Yeah.
with that. And honestly, with guitars, it's like when you're a mediocre golfer, it doesn't really matter what ball you use so much, right? I'm like a
So-
mediocre guitar player, so it doesn't really matter. But I'll say the Martin that I do have, I was looking for a guitar I wanted to hear like the Lumineers.
Right.
I wanted to hear this folky kind of richness in it, and that guitar, I picked it up, and I was like, oh, that's cool. So I bought it maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I've had a Taylor for a long time, and it's a little bit crisper. It's like
Right.
got a little bit more balls to it if you play it not plugged in. But lately, that Martin has really got me.
So you don't have a favorite guitar like Willie Nelson has Trigger. Everybody
Right.
has Trigger. You don't have anything like
no,
that.
I just haven't had enough time to be honest.
Yeah.
Like I've been playing for 20 years, but real.
You were
guitar-
kind of busy playing baseball too. So
that. And to be honest, for me, the guitar a lot of times is just a means to be able to sing.
right.
If in a perfect world, if I could just snap my fingers and always have somebody play a guitar for me a little bit better than me and be there, I'd do that. That's why playing in the full band sometimes is fun because I don't have to carry that load.
Right.
But I can't always just ask people to come play,
Right.
6 songs from me up here at Moerlein, right?
Right,
So I got to do it myself.
Hey, it's kind of like trying to ask a baseball player to come up here and be on your podcast and play music. You got to shoot the shot, and hopefully he says yes. Let's talk about the Reds here, and I know we had some a question here or a statement in the chat. Tito, the Reds new manager, you played for him. What is he like as a manager, and how do you think he's going to affect this team this year?
Tito is as enjoyable of a manager to be around as anybody I've ever seen in the game. And that's saying a lot for being around Dusty Baker for 5 years, right? But Tito's very easygoing, and he's won so much that there's no pressure on his head.
Oh, yeah.
He came from Philly, and there was a lot of pressure on his head. And we won that first World Series, and it was like, Tito, good job.
Well, there's pressure on you guys from the year before that, too. So
Yes.
that was all combined.
Absolutely. And then, but then he wins another one,
Yeah.
and then he wins another one.
Mm-hmm.
And then he goes to Cleveland, and he's in the playoffs every year like
And he's
clockwork.
their winningest manager.
Yeah, and so at the end of the day, he's loose and relaxed. And if he can't get these guys on this team to be able to win the division or at least make the playoffs, then I don't think they have the talent to do it because most of the players on this team right now are about 2 or 3 years in. They're seasoned enough to not be rookies. They know what their game is supposed to look like, and they're pretty healthy, right? So it's like now or never. And Tito, it's probably the only move I feel like that other than going to get a superstar player that would have sufficed the fan base and been like, hey, they're actually trying.
Yes.
We had talked about that for a
it
while.
It was a brilliant move. They signed him early. It hit you out of left field, and he's a winner's winner, man.
I did not think they were going to get him. I mean, once they fired David Bell, which I didn't think they would do either because they owed him money. And once again, I'm like, we talked about it on the show. I'm like, Tito would be the guy I would go get. I said, I don't think there's a chance in hell the Reds are going to get him.
You got to make that phone call at least to make him say no. But yeah, when that came down the pipe that they actually were signing him, that sent a huge message to the fan base. No, we're serious. Like we're trying to not a contender. We want to win. And just as a message, again, before free agency, before trades or anything. I mean, this was in the middle of the World Series or somewhere in the middle of the playoffs when this came out, stealing everyone's thunder, which is awesome. They did that before.
Yeah.
Bronson, as a former player, obviously under Tito and with the Cincinnati organization, did they come to you and ask for what this hire?
No, you know what's funny is I was in the locker room one day and Nick Kroll, he ran across me real quick and he said, hey, I got something I want to talk to you about. Do you have time in a little bit? And then we never made it happen. And I almost felt like that might have been that conversation because it was right around September. But otherwise, no. You know, the front office on teams, a lot of times, man, you'd be surprised. I was definitely shocked that nobody ever came to me in my entire career other than other general managers. General managers from other teams would call me. But a team that I played for, I never had a general manager say to me, hey, we're thinking about signing this guy or this guy. They both hit 275 for their careers. Which one is a tougher out?
Right.
And maybe I can give you a little insight to why he's so tough to get out or why I think he's a grittier player or whatever. They never would ask those questions, and I'm not really sure why.
That's a big miss by and maybe they're just worried about too much information overload. But the ones that are actually they're trying to get the player, the batters, like a good place to at least have some not input. Not that you're going to sway, but at least that little extra bit of information to maybe sway one way.
Especially Bronson, because you had sometimes you had to figure out how to get guys out. Just your arm angles, your different pitches, all the different things you would do, you would know, I won't say better than most people, but you were a thinking man pitcher.
Right. Yeah, I could at least maybe give him some information that might be outside the normal box. And, I had like Theo Epstein would call me when he's with the Cubs, and he'd say, I remember one time he called me and he was like, hey, we're thinking about trading, we're trying to get Travis Wood from you guys. What do you think? What's he like? And I'm telling him, like, he doesn't work out at all, but he's strong and wiry. He can hit the ball out of the park at will. And in batting practice, he can hit the ball out of the park. He's strong, but he doesn't do anything.
Right.
I'm like, he's pretty even-keeled. He's kind of a low-key country boy. You're just giving him what the goods are on him and just knowing a little bit under the hood. If you go out to a bar with some of these guys, like, you figure out what people are like, right? You know if somebody's, like, soft or if they're a fighter or if there's somebody who causes problems. Like, there's little things you could drizzle into somebody's ear to let them know that maybe this guy's not worth having around, or yes, he is, and you didn't get quite as much of that as you would think from organizations in general.
Right.
Into the whole new analytic aspect. Obviously, MLB had political route. Could you really kind of play that into a factor on that aspect?
You're asking, do I think that like
the analytical
how
the game has changed over the last few years play a part into the front office, making those kind of questions and decisions?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's where they're starting to lean heavier and heavier. And so you probably ask old school, baseball people probably less these days. But what you tend to find is that, the pendulum swings one way and then it always swings back the other way, right? So it's always like everybody wants the bigger, faster car, and then it's like, oh, maybe that's too fast because we crashed, right? And then you come back a little bit from that. So statistics have been so important to the game over the last, 7 years. But guys like Tito, who play from his gut a little bit and probably takes in all the information as well, it's nice to have both. It feels like there's no reason to cancel one out.
So, we need to argue about this all the time.
I'm very much into the analytical work.
I'm not.
It's great to have a front office, I think, that believes that, because there's so much information to be had. But a manager that can weigh and having the staff that weighs, you don't just want a machine up there just pushing buttons and doing everything. So I get that.
Numbers matter.
Yeah.
But what I like knowing the personality of Matt Latos and why that X'd him out of the game.
Right.
When you can't really put your finger on it. He's not like a fighter. He's not somebody who's in trouble all the time. But It's hard to describe him, but somehow he rubs people raw. That type of thing is worth having because you can't put that on paper.
Yeah, exactly. That's the part that I think baseball. Some teams have swung too far into numbers, and that's why to me that's why they had these changes in baseball because everybody's into the three outcome. You swing and miss, or you hit a home run, or a walk, and that made it a boring baseball. And now we're back to stealing bases and speed's gotten brought back into the game, and it's made it more interesting. So I like it that they have numbers are great. You need to use them, but I agree with you saying you got to use feel. Tina's been a manager for 20-something years. He's going to know. You got to get to know the player. What's Bronson thinking? How's he feeling today? All that stuff.
Yeah, I like a little bit of both. I mean, playing for Dusty. If you think about, how does a manager win 95 games almost every single year and get fired from multiple organizations, right? It's because Dusty used to look at people in the face and say, listen, you see all these freaking Harvard grads that you send down here with their freaking khakis on and their backpacks? He's like, get them out of my face because I don't care, right?
Exactly.
That's why Dusty could never last, and he's winning 95 games every year. But, they could deal with that for a couple years, and then they're like, oh, man,
I'm done.
He's a handful.
What I did tell him is, where did Dusty win his ring?
Oh, in Houston, yeah.
Who's probably the most analytically advanced organization.
But I will tell you, he called me the 2 days before the World Series started. He called me like he always does from an unknown number. I pick it up. It's 10:30 at night. Every time it's like, Bronson, what? He's like, Bronson, what you doing, bro? And he never changes, bro. He's a stone cold pimp, and I love him. And he is like, I said, what's up? Y'all gonna win the World Series? He goes, yeah. He said, right when we started the playoffs, they keep sending all these stat boys down here to try to tell me who to put in the lineup.
Yeah.
And he said, now listen,
I love Dusty.
Dusty's on the other end of the pendulum, right? And Dusty's
Right.
like, yo, I'm not dealing with it. He's like, I played with Hank Aaron, bro. Get out of my face.
So you're saying Dusty's burner phones is always an unknown number?
Yeah, Dusty's the kind of guy who'll call you from his lawyer's office and be like, it'll be like an unknown number, and you'll be like, you got to stay off the radar.
I like that.
He's classic, bro.
That's good.
But he led off Willie Tavares and Corey Patterson. Right? That's
yeah.
But too, Bronson, you and I talked about it before, about how the game has changed over the years. I know we talked about David Wells and his career. Just talk about how much the game has changed since you finished your career. I mean, you look down now, Juan Soto signs that $765 million deal. Talk about how much the game has evolved in that as well.
Yeah, it's changed in many, many ways. I mean, we were talking about the rule changes earlier, and I've enjoyed the rule changes. I think baseball it's a little quicker pace game. Guys are stealing more. There's a lot of action last year. I think it was one of the most enjoyable seasons I've ever watched was last season in baseball, just overall. Like, it was really fun. You're feeling like teams who didn't used to ever have a chance might have a chance. Like, there's a lot of parity. It feels pretty good. And but as far as the money, yeah, I mean, there was. I can remember thinking Keith Folk signed 3 years, $21 million as a closer for the Boston Red Sox in 2003. Yeah. And I was like, man, that's a lot of money. And now you got guys who are getting offered, well, Martinez, right? He accepted the qualifying offer, and it was like 16 or 18 million. And that's just the qualifying offer.
I think
21.
1 year.
21. There you go. There you go. So he made exactly what Keith Folk was going to make in 3 seasons with the Red Sox on a qualifying offer. And that was only in 2003. So 20 years. Yeah. And it is, basically 3 times the amount of money.
Dude, I remember my grandparents, my grandma freaked out when Eric Davis made $3 million a year. Oh my goodness, $3 million to play baseball?
Yeah,
that was in the 80s. Now, freaking Soto signed for what, $70 billion?
$765 for 14.
Yeah, I mean, it's
when
we're in the wrong business, Harrison.
Yeah, we need to go play baseball.
Yeah, exactly.
$51 million a year, and if he doesn't opt out after 4 years, it goes to $55 million a year.
Hey, I'm pretty sure Kevin Hart's pulling those kind of numbers, though, right?
Yeah. Why don't you be Kevin Hart and take us with you?
He's too tall.
I'm trying, okay?
You're too tall.
I'm trying.
I'm gonna saw your ass off. Maybe you can be.
I'm gonna grow my hair out. I'm gonna get some cornrows.
Yeah. You half and half?
Half and half. That'd be live.
Yeah. That'd be dope right there.
Yep.
Half and half.
I need to hit the gym. So you said 300.
Oh, when I was a kid?
When you was a kid?
Yeah. I benched 130 when I was 8. Yeah.
What are you, Brent, now, Harrison?
Man, about 250.
No, but you know what's funny is I was with the Dodgers when I was hurt, and Gabe Kapler was running the minor leagues, and
Jeez.
so he was at the rookie league level with me. And every day, Kapler would be like sending out emails on his BlackBerry and deadlifting 400 pounds,
Does
like
he eat
for
sugar
reps.
at all?
He pretty much eats meat and only meat and vegetables.
All protein.
He-
He walks around eating like bell peppers like they're apples and stuff. And
Hey guys, where's the gym?
and he's strong even to this
Yeah.
day. And when I showed him those videos of me as an 8-year-old kid maxing out on squat, bench, and deadlift in 1985, he was like, "Dude, that's ridiculous." Because if you in the weight room a lot, you know those numbers even more accurately than the average person. And he was like, "Can you still push weight like that?" And I'm like, "Dude, 250 on my back right now would probably hurt me. Would hurt me, But I didn't know any different. My father was
Right.
putting me in the weight room. We just did the thing. There was nothing special about me. I was taking supplements.
Well, you were a Major League Baseball player, so there's something special about that.
Yeah, I'm
That's
saying
a
that
compliment.
as an 8-year-old,
But
physically.
at 8 years old,
At
that
eight.
is- like, what were you training for? You just like to work out.
No, because my father, he saw me throw a ball across the infield as a 5-year-old and say, "Wow, that looked like a 12-year-old knows what's up." He was already in the weight room lifting with his friends, so he was like, "I think I can get him a free education if we just put him in the weight room." And I was already creeping around the gym watching these guys lift. So I just remember benching the 15-pound bar the very first time. And then you just slowly put this program together, and you trained for baseball and you worked out. In baseball season, you backed off, and then you ramped it up during other sports. And by the time I was 18, I had this kind of life inside the weight room that made me hardier than most of the players who were going to go now travel around the country on buses and be homesick.
Yeah.
But I was a little hardier because he had talked to me about philosophy of life in those hundreds of hours in that weight room. And you're doing this hard work. So you blend those things together, and it just made it easier for me to kind of navigate the world afterwards.
So by 18, you knew you was something.
By the time I was 18, I knew I was going to play. I was sure I would play in the big leagues. I didn't know how long. I thought maybe I could have just, played in the big leagues for a year or two. To know that you could survive for 15 years is very hard to know. But I knew the people around me. My hand-eye coordination was better than almost everybody for the most part, and I was working out in the weight room. I knew I was dedicated. My body was strong enough to not be hurt. Like I wasn't the most powerful guy, but I also knew that I could beat people with strategy. We've been talking about strategy. If you're gonna deadlift 235 as an 8-year-old, and 6 months later you're only gonna do 240, 5 pounds. What you eat that day, what clothes you're wearing, everything about that training and that preparation matters. And so by the time I'm 18, I'm beating hitters with this freaking mindset of chess that the other dudes took 10 years to catch up to me.
That's just like you when you were 8, right?
Yeah, when I was 8, yeah. I was too busy playing hide and go seek with my dad.
Exactly.
But-
Exactly. Hey, but I'll tell you this. The beautiful thing about my childhood is people say, "How did you not turn out to hate the game?" Because you hear these stories. As soon as we were out of the gym, after a couple hours of doing this stuff, he's playing hide and go seek with me. And it was all fun and games, right?
Yeah.
So there was this optimism about, no, we're just going to go do the work and watch. You're going to see this going to mount to something. But yeah, we're going to climb the tree and we're going to shoot some balloons later, whatever it is,
Yeah. That's cool.
amazing.
So
No, go ahead.
I'll say so. My question, I know I've asked this before, but for people who haven't heard, how did you come up with the iconic leg kick, the sidearm? How did you come up with the different angles? Was it necessity or just you being the thinking man pitcher that you are?
So all the way back to like being 7, 8, and 9 is the first years I'm pitching to kids from 35 feet. They called it midget league down in Key West.
Okay.
And it's 7, 8, 9-year-olds. And my father was already talking about disrupting bat timing. So we would go through our mechanics and sometimes we'd pause, like Johnny Cueto.
Yeah.
We were playing these games. I was throwing sidearm back then. You're figuring out how to use your tools. So because it went so far back for me, when I got in the minor leagues, they wanted you to be more orthodox.
Right.
But the leg kick was already there, and I couldn't really change it. It wouldn't feel normal, so they left me alone. But that came from Dwight Gooden. 1985, Dwight Gooden was a stud starting pitcher
Badass.
for the Mets. And Doc was from Tampa, Florida, right? And so I was from Florida. And he had this kind of high leg kick that I really loved. And that's just what my childhood mind kind of morphed out of it.
Right.
So then once I got into where I was an established minor league player, really, by AA, AAA, I started dropping down.
Mhm.
I'm one of the better pitchers every year after year. In
Right.
Altoona in 1999, I went 15-4 with like a 3.3 ERA there. So I started like really gritting my teeth into the game. And I started 68, 78. I start doing these things, and I have people aware enough to say, "Hey, keep doing that stuff." But then I'd come to the big leagues, and they would take it from me with the Pirates.
Yeah.
and I'd struggle. And then they send me back down. I'd go down and dominate. And then I'd come back up and they'd be like, no, you can't do that. And then I'd struggle and then I'd go back down.
Look what I'm doing in the minors.
I know. So
That's how I pitch.
so it took like 3 years to convince big league people. And it really took until I got to the Red Sox in 2003 for them to say, just leave him alone.
Yeah.
I won 84 games in the minor leagues. Like, it's unheard of. Like, the average major league player who played as long as I did will have 35 minor league wins, maybe a guy like Derek Lowe or something like that. I had 84. They left me down there for a long
Way too
time.
long, right.
I had
Moral
11.
of the story: screw the Pirates.
Yes.
Yeah. So
They did draft him. So.
I got went to high school with. Was drafted by them first round in 2001. John Van Scoten.
oh yeah, Van Manscoten, yeah.
And he was an outfielder and then closer at Kent State, and they made him a strict pitcher. And just the track record of pitchers at that time that just would get injured. I'm like, it would have been interesting to see if he would have come around modern. I mean, not that anyone's going to turn into Shohei Ohtani, but they're allowing players to try a little bit of two-way.
Right.
And be, to see, even Michael Lorenzen, like when he made it to the Reds, I mean, they hadn't really played much outfield until he came back to the majors, but to have that, at least creativity, I think the teams are a lot less rigid, I think, which is odd with this analytics.
You said less rigid?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks a little more like maybe we can get more value out of somebody if they can do two positions.
Yeah, they've finally come around to think outside the box a little bit to say, hey, if the guy can really play left field, maybe we need to let him, And Ohtani 20 years ago would have never got the opportunity he has.
No.
And it's fantastic to see because there's some guys who can do it.
Yeah, I mean, the Reds had him. He's not going to do it now, but Hunter Green, he was a hell of a shortstop in high school. I mean, they didn't really let him play shortstop in the minors. He's been a pitcher the whole time. But let's talk about the Reds pitching staff here. And with Hunter Green, Lodolo, Abbott, Ashcraft, Rhett, Lauer,
Brady Singer,
Nick Martinez.
all these guys they got. Some Reds fans are like, we don't need any more pitching, which I think is bullcrap. You can never have enough pitching. What's your thought on the Reds' young pitching staff and Lodolo? I love the kid. Is there something in your opinion that he's doing that just get stop having these nagging injuries that he has to hopefully have a complete full season?
It's a strange thing that, we talk all the time about players as if they can change certain things about themselves very easily, right? The way you tie your shoes is really hard to change. And people who have tight hamstrings don't tend to get them that loose unless they really work hard at it, right? So some people are just physically different. And I've seen guys who can't stay healthy, and they're some of the hardest workers on the team. Strasburg from the Washington Nationals.
Right.
I was in spring training with them in 2016, and he was the earliest guy there, the last one to leave. He did everything to the T, crushing the weight room, stretching, everything. And he just couldn't stay healthy. And so a lot of times that is what's so hard about putting a team together, because to look at a guy like Nick Lodolo and then look at Bronson Arroyo and say, which one of these two guys do you think might throw the next 100 starts in a row without breaking down? If you don't know anything about them, it's impossible to guess, right? And so it's so hard to know. It's just it's a big guessing game, right? And so it's like look what Hunter did this year. It looked like he was getting deep in ball games. He looked like he stayed healthy. He looked like he could will himself to stay out there, right?
Right.
But that's a product of figuring out how to get hitters out on a consistent basis. So now it looks like you're a little bit more of an animal out there, right? But the truth is, it's like you just figured something else out. You're not more of an animal. Like you just figured out how to beat hitters more consistently, right? So we have these kind of ideas that sometimes don't really check out in the real world. And so when I'm thinking about that starting staff, I'm thinking about you've got a number 2 in Hunter, and then you've got a bunch of guys that are number 3s. And if they stay healthy and can just do probably what they did most of last year, I think you give yourself enough of a chance to make the playoffs. I don't think you have to have something spectacular to get over the hump. It'd be nice to have a true number 1. If Hunter could be a true number 1, he's not quite there yet. I don't think he's not just a true number 1 is Clayton Kershaw, Justin Verlander, a guy who you want to go to the 7th game of the World Series and I'm going to put my life on it, right? There's only a handful of those dudes in the game. Hunter's a half a notch below that at this point, just purely because of experience.
Right.
And if he does, he's got to do it. Yeah. You got to do it. You got to win 19. You got to win 18. You got to win 17. You got to have an ERA that's like 2.5, 2 years in a row, and be like, I'm the man.
He's got to be the stopper. The guy, like, say you're on a 4-game losing streak.
Right.
all right, Hunter's coming out. This lose streak's going to stop. I'm going to pitch us.
Absolutely.
We're going to win this game. Hop on my back. We're going to win.
Yes. That's what made that Red Sox team so special that I was on in 03 and 04 was we had Kurt Schilling and Pedro Martinez.
Yeah. Pretty good.
You had two true number ones who
Yes.
you would throw out there against anybody in the world any time of day, right? And then you had Derek Lowe, who's a number 3. You had me, who was probably a 4 at the time, and then you had Wakefield, who's probably like a 3.5. Yeah. So we had us bunched here, and then you got these two monsters, right? Well, the Reds don't have that monster, but if everybody can give you, 18 quality starts and win you 10 games, if all 5 guys could just win 10 games and give you 18 quality starts, you have a chance to be consistent. Now the offense knows that that's there, and it's like things start clicking when that happens. And you saw a little bit of that last year in streaks,
right.
kind of in the middle of the season. But, it just remains to be seen. A guy can throw one game in spring training and break his Tommy John ligament, and he's done for 2 years, right?
Exactly.
It's so random.
So what's your thoughts on Rhett Lauder? How is he progressing on his first year and going into his second year? Where do you think he can go?
I don't know. I don't know much about him at all.
Okay.
I don't know much about him. I watched him pitch a couple of times, and I didn't have any history with him. What I observed was somebody who put up really, really good numbers. Mm-hmm. Not sure if that amount of goodness is sustainable.
Right. Yeah.
Watching the stuff, it looks really good. It looks like guys are having a trouble kind of picking him up. It's like he could put it right there, and it was like they're swinging funny at it, which I play with guys like Aaron Harang, who could throw 87, 88 straight as an arrow, and you're like, how did they miss that?
Right.
I saw a little bit of that in him, but I need to see him. I need to see him one more turn. I need to see him for 20 more starts, and I want to see how the league makes adjustments against him before I can really say where I would slot him in at. But what you got out of a guy who, when you're a rookie in the major league level on any sport, it's very difficult to perform, and he performed out of the gate, which is awesome.
And he has great hair too. So that helps.
Absolutely. There's a lot. Well, a lot of dudes these days, man. The beard is back.
Oh, I know.
Dude, I'm walking around my hometown, and these young 16-year-old kids got Raleigh fingers mustaches, bro. And the girls are digging it.
Yeah. You're like, what the heck? Harrison, see, that's what you got to do.
What?
Get the cornrows. Have Raleigh fingers. Yeah, just twist it. Yeah.
I'll put that on the to-do list.
Okay.
Bronson, let's talk your career a little bit. Obviously, World Series champ, Gold Glove Award winner, Cincinnati Reds Hall of Fame. Just talk about your career, and if there is any of those accolades that stand out, which was your favorite accolade out of those 3?
Out of those 3, Gold Glove,
the World Series, or the Cincinnati Hall of Fame?
Oh, wow. You definitely probably have to throw the Gold Glove out because it's a bit of a one-off thing, But Cincinnati Reds Hall of Fame or winning that World Series in 04, if I had to give one of the 2 up. So the plaque's coming off the wall, Bronson, you're not in the Reds Hall of Fame, or your World Series ring is disappearing and you guys lost to the Yankees. I'm taking the World Series victory for sure.
Yeah. Who wouldn't? It's World Series.
Yeah.
It was so special in that town with that group of guys. That was a real all-star team.
You guys don't have to pay for a drink in Boston, do you?
It was pretty spectacular, man.
Yeah.
It was another level. Like when you talk about NFL passion, like when you talk about how people think about their football teams, that's how people think about the Boston Red Sox. Back then, we lose in 03. And the day after the season's over, the Patriots are going on to win a Super Bowl, and they're hot as ever. And the first question on talk radio is who's going to play second base for the Boston Red Sox next year? Right. And it's like you don't see that in any other town. When I played in Pittsburgh, dude, the Steelers dominate that town, right? Here in Cincinnati, unless the Reds are doing really, really good, it's Bengals, right? So it's just the way it is. And in that town, it was just a little flipped on its head. And to play with a group of guys like that was on that team, they were all like 30 years old, and they were seasoned veterans, and they were really good players. And to be in that locker room at 27 and be comfortable enough to play at the big league level, but also young enough to know that this is different than where I came from in Pittsburgh was really, really cool, man. To be inside that locker room, Manny Ramirez and David Ortiz and Pedro Martinez, these guys were like men. Mm-hmm. There were times when they would just like talk to the media like that they were their stepkids, man. They'd just be like, get out of my face. It's like Terry Francona and Theo Epstein were getting talked to by Kevin Millar like they were his kids.
Is Kevin Lamar really like we all see him?
Yes.
I think he's genuine.
He's probably worse.
He lives like that 24 hours a day. It's like he's got a little tick of the Sherry O'Terry from SNL or like Will Ferrell. He's got the little twinkle in the eye that when he tells a story, he looks at you and it's like half crazy and half real.
Right.
And you're like, dude, So he would just be hollering. I mean, he made that locker room go.
Yeah.
This guy every day wouldn't shut up.
So I watched the comeback they did on Netflix, and you were on it, and I'm a Reds fan, but I am so interested in the 04 season for the Red Sox. It was so cool. I did not know, and maybe other people did. I didn't know you guys took shots of Jack Daniels.
Oh yeah.
Before the game. What 3 of the?
No, it's when we got back. When we got to New York, it would have been. We were down 3-0. We won 1, so it would have been game 3, 4, 5.
Yeah,
game 5 we started.
Yeah.
So 5, 6, and 7 we had the shots, and then
that's what won it.
yeah. Well, the amazing thing is to watch that and to have on film Kevin Millar. We're down 3 games to none. No one has ever come back.
Yes.
We're in Fenway Park against a monster lineup.
Yeah.
And he's telling everybody that will listen, don't let us win one. Yep. Don't let us win one. And then he tells Dan Shaughnessy, the writer who invented the Curse of the Bambino.
Yep.
He said, you guys are a bunch of frauds.
Yep.
And he said, he goes, we win tonight. We got Pedro. You get Pedro, you get Schilling. He goes, and in game 7, I'll put you in the 8 hole and play you at second base. Yep. And he goes, you never know what could happen. And then he said, then you can take back that fraud comment.
It was awesome, dude. And that's what made me love Kevin Millar. It's just, you talk about speaking into existence. That's what he did.
I'll tell you a story about Kevin that it probably won't resonate with the public as much as it would with an ex-baseball player. But the guys who crossed the picket line in 94, they're considered scabs forever, right? Out of the union. These guys do not get a paycheck every spring training. Everybody else does. There's probably none of them left in the game because it's been that long. But Kevin played 1 day. The manager of the team told him he's a young kid, go over there and play in that game. He played 2 at-bats, got home, and his uncle said, you probably shouldn't do that. He said, I'm not going back over. He was considered a scab forever.
Oh, wow.
And Kevin Millar was so charismatic in that locker room that he sat in on the union meeting.
Wow.
Unheard of. Because his teammates loved him so much. I was like, no, you sit right here, bro. Don't fucking worry about it.
That's cool. And just and watching him on a show and watching the comeback, and then you had the 4 days in October or whatever, all those things are just iconic. And watching him, like I said, just speaking into existence, and I've talked about this, momentum is a huge thing. Once you get that belief and you believe, I'm going to do my job, you're going to do your job, and it gets on a roll. And that's exactly what happened with you guys in 04.
Yeah, the thing is, the stuff he was saying that day, right? I mean, he knew our backs were against the wall.
Yeah.
But the other thing that he knew he had in his back pocket is that we were a really good baseball team.
Yeah.
And that we could beat the Yankees for legitimate. Now, there's some teams that don't down 3-0 against certain line. I mean, there's no chance. It's over, right? That team was good enough to do that. Bill Miller won the batting title in 03. He played third base for us, and he won the batting title in the 7 hole. Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, Jason Varitek was just a monster, right? Like Johnny Damon in center, like Trot Nixon's is a dirt dog, right? I mean, this team was like grown men, man. And that's the only reason Kevin could be that brash, just to know that team could do that. Although it was unlikely.
You're right.
But
it worked.
And to say it out loud is insane. But he pulled it off.
Whether he believed it or not, which I do think he believed it.
Yeah.
But he made other people believe it.
Absolutely.
And that's the whole point.
Yeah, he was the conductor of that locker room. He made the whole society inside there go.
And that's one thing like me and Joe talked about with this Reds team, where I think like when the Joey Votto came up, Jay Bruce came up, and they traded for Scott Rowland. And that was that veteran presence. I think that's what this team kind of needs, is that veteran guy who can instill in them that he's been there, done that, and I'll show you how to do it. Is that a real thing, you think, or am I just blowing smoke?
No, it is a real thing, but it's really hard to come by, and this is why. Because you can stick a really good player in a locker room who doesn't have quite the right personality to gel with guys. You can stick a really good player in a locker room who's never played in that team before, and it takes a whole year to get used to him, right? Mm-hmm. So, because if you come in and just try to run the locker room because I'm the veteran old dude who came from the Phillies, right? It doesn't always work, because you got to be really, really good at what you do with people in order not to piss them off, right? So it takes almost like a homegrown guy who's 2, 3, 4, 5 years in, like Joey Votto was after he won the MVP. And then it's like, okay, we can lean on a guy like that because we trust in who he is as a person. We've seen it year after year. He's a damn good player and does better than what most guys can do. Just so happened Joey was an odd personality and couldn't really translate it to his other teammates.
His personality grew so much.
Yes, in the end.
Rookie year
he didn't have the ability to do that at 25, though. And so, to get that guy in a locker room that you actually feel like this dude's making a difference, like a Adrian Beltre.
Yeah.
I never played with him, but you hear those stories. For that to happen, it's like, I've been here for a long time. I'm showing you guys I'm the man. I do it year after year. Look at the back of my baseball card, and that's hard to come by on one specific team for one specific time,
Exactly.
I was going to add, yeah, he played with Pedro Martinez. Have you ever seen a pitcher that's been as dominant? Like his 99 and 2000 might be the two of the best seasons ever recorded by a pitcher, especially when you look at the era. He had literally every pitch in his repertoire. He could throw upper 90s. His changeup was unhittable. His breaking stuff. Is there any pitcher that you could even compare that you pitch with, it through your time, or just someone in your that you can compare with just in your guy growing up or whoever?
In his prime, and I wasn't there in 99 and 2000,
Right.
but Derek Lowe told me, he said, Bronson, watching this guy that year from the dugout, he said he punched out 13 in a row. He said, I think 10 games in a row or something crazy. And he said it was like watching a Nintendo game.
Yeah.
And I saw Pedro with a bum shoulder, and there were times when he was the old Pedro, and then there was a lot of times it was a notch below that.
Yeah.
But when you saw the old Pedro come back because it was like hot out and his shoulder wasn't bothering him or something, it was a skill set that I have never come across otherwise. He had tenacity. He liked to intimidate people. He was smart. He took care of himself. He had all the pitches. He had a little bit of everything. He had umpires probably a little intimidated, right? There's a lot to that. And then I never played with Greg Maddux, and that's a totally different animal, but kind of the same thing, like a total freak of nature and does things in a way that the rest of us won't ever do, even if we played the game for another 30 years, right? It's too good.
Now, is there pitchers after you talk about intimidating? Roger Clemens, Dwight Gooden, all these guys. And when we were growing up, were the man. They were intimidating pitchers. Do you think pitching aside has kind of gone away a little bit? Do you think it's starting to move back toward that a little bit? Are we going to get to the guys that, like you said, umpires are scared of, batters are scared of, that they might get one in the ear hole? I don't think you see that as much today as you used to.
I don't think you see it as much either. They've got that it's always a double-edged sword. It's like you want discipline in the clubhouse, but you also want the guys to have a good time playing Major League Baseball, right? So you can't smash their head 24/7. And in the old days, that's what they did. And yeah, then you could go to the other side and say, wait, maybe it's too soft, right? Maybe it's too cushion here. There's too much food. There's too much relaxation.
Right.
And you kind of get that same thing when it comes to the rules of the game. So yeah, you can't crush the catcher at the plate anymore. And some people might not like that. But if you want Buster Posey to last for 20 years without having his leg snapped, maybe it's a good thing, right? So it's kind of both ways. I think physically there's enough velocity in the game that you can intimidate whenever you want. But the personalities of the Goose Gossage just saying I want to shove it down your throat.
Yeah.
No, there's two, social media for one has made us all aware that everyone is human and that we're closer together. And when you can see Chad Ochocinco, what he's eating for dinner, or maybe an argument with his girlfriend online, right?
Yeah.
Those things make him human. And in the old days, nobody knew anything about Goose Gossage unless you were his teammate, right?
Right.
And you hardly ever changed teams. So it was like this mythical creature. And these days, because we're kind of more exposed, I feel like there's a softer edge to most people.
Right.
I got a question real
Good.
quick. Why in baseball when y'all what? Even like the dudes all the way out there
That's
In
the
the
best
bullpen,
part.
yeah. Bullpen, that's supposed to get there.
I know.
like why? Why they got to get involved?
It's
Like,
coming back.
by the time they get out there,
I know.
fight over.
They talking about all these rule changes. Let's make it the two dudes that want to get after it. You got 2 minutes and
It's like
fucking get
hockey.
after it.
Hockey.
Just
I'm
like
so here
hockey.
for it.
That would
So
be
here.
amazing. Because for one, you'd have a lot less fights because people don't want to go 2 minutes.
Right.
And then you wouldn't have dudes accidentally, right? Johnny Cueto kicked Jason LaRue in the face
Right in the head, yep.
because he was purely panicked in a fight
And,
and ended his career, right? I mean,
Yep.
those types of things can't happen. 45 dudes all rumbling at home plate is not fun, especially in my early years. All these dudes were on steroids, man, and they were monsters.
Jesus,
dude.
yeah.
You walk up to Andres Galarraga or you walk up to Todd Helton, dude. These dudes are big and strong. They make Joey Votto look small. And you don't want to be in a fight with 50 of these dudes.
Could you imagine Amir Garrett 2-on-1
Oh.
with the Pirates?
Crazy, dude. He ran after the
Imagine that.
Pirates dugout.
Amir, right.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. If Amir and whoever he was chirping at had to go 2 minutes just one-on-one, maybe they would have went at it.
I
But
don't think
It wouldn't go
You
2
know?
minutes, but it would be a way better watch.
It would be. It would.
It's like as soon as somebody gets knocked on the ground and they look like they're hurt, okay, that's it. Just like hockey, right? It's like
So did anybody ever come after you on the mound?
no, only one time I thought I was going to get charged. I'm trying to think. We're in Texas. I'm throwing. It's Eric Young Sr. So we're in Texas, and I have a good game. I throw 7 innings, give up 2 runs, and both runs that score are him. And I'm trying to go down and away on the outer half of the fastball, and I hit him first time right here.
Yeah.
Right in the arm.
Right.
And he just kind of looked at me a little bit, and he went to first base. And then his next at bat, I tried to go down and away again, and it got away. That was not usual for me. Like, I'm not going to miss by 2 or 3 feet.
Right.
And I hit him in the same exact spot. And he looked at me really hard, and I was like, he's coming for sure. Like, here we go. What's this going to, because it's such an odd fight. There's somebody running at you. Like,
Throw
you
the
have
glove at him.
I have a glove. He's got a helmet. What's going on?
Yeah.
Like, nobody tells you what to do.
It always looks awkward as the pitcher's getting ready to fight. Like,
Exactly. He just throws the glove at him, right? So, I wouldn't have known what I would have done, but
You would have Nolan Ryan his ass like
Yeah.
he was Robin Ventura.
No, definitely not, dude. Nolan was a grown man, dude. He was like,
that-
He was 40.
that is the greatest
yeah.
fight ever. He
You have
just
to-
wrapped
you-
up. Bang.
You have to be in some fights in your life, or you got to like wrestle cattle the way he was
Yeah.
to really, to want to mix it up in that way. And I was just glad he didn't charge because honestly, in my whole career, I only purposely hit, I'd say 4 guys in all the years, and every one of them came from the manager said this dude goes down, and I was like, okay.
All right.
And
Yes,
so
sir.
we're in
All right.
Tampa. I got kicked out of a game in Tampa against the Rays because Lou Piniella, if we hit 1, he wanted to hit 2. And so they stuck Millar, and then Schilling was supposed to get Carl Crawford, and he didn't get a chance to. So the next day they got Ortiz, and Manny went deep and pimped it hard at home plate. and David
Manny,
came up
though.
next. They had already hit 1, and David got one right at the forehead, and he just barely got out of the way. And my pitching coach, he walked over to the dugout and he screamed, "The first motherfucker goes down." And then he walked away, and he comes back and he's like, "No, don't worry about it." He said, "You're going to get tossed out of the game. The warnings are out." And then he takes 2 steps away from me and he said, "No, fuck it. Hit him anyway." And
Hit him anyway.
that was Dave Wallace. And so I stuck the next dude in
So-
the ribs.
Did you ever hit somebody going, my bad. I didn't mean to do that.
Yeah. If you hit a guy like, you hit a guy like up near his face,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? You're not trying to do that.
Because most times I see like pitchers hit him going, and they hit him going, yeah. What? I meant to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, there's some guy, everybody's personality is so different, right? Like my personality versus Homer Bailey, right? We're just 2 different people from 2 different places. So whatever he has going on in his mind when he drills a dude, maybe is like, I don't want to show weakness.
Right.
For me personally, I didn't mind showing humility on the field. I could have a guy, know that I was the nicest dude ever and cook him a meal the night before and still try to beat him one-on-one
Right.
the next day. It wouldn't really matter.
Yeah. Not
but
Roger Clemens trying to throw a broken bat at somebody.
Right. But I had guys in my early years like Pete Vukovich,
Yeah.
right, who was Clue Haywood in the movie.
Clue Haywood.
Clue Haywood in freaking Major League. But Pete Vukovich was the head of the pitching for the Pirates when I was in the minor leagues, and he saw me talking to another player on a team from Hagerstown in A-ball, and he ripped my head off.
Yeah. Don't
He
do
was
that.
like, "Don't you ever let somebody see that you're a nice guy in this game."
Yeah.
And it's
talk
like,
to the enemy.
Yeah.
Can't talk to the
yeah,
enemy.
don't talk to the enemy. That's how it was in his day. But for
Yeah.
us, that's why I say it's gotten softer over
Oh, yeah.
time.
Now we do jersey exchanges and all
Right.
that stuff.
There you go.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. It's totally changed. All right, it's 7:00 here. Let's let you go out, going over to the stage over there, and you can go ahead and start playing some music there. Joe, you want to go over there and make sure we got stuff set up? But we are live again down here at Moerlein Lager House. If you guys are in the area, come on down. Bronson has got a new album. Bronson got a new album that's out now. You can check it out on Spotify or pretty much wherever you get your music. You can get them out there, and we're having a good time. It is Prime Rib Tuesday here at the Moerlein Lager House. Let me bring up the right graphic here. The great graphic. Where'd it go? Oh, I went too far. There it is.
Fired.
Live show. $29.95 Prime Rib Tuesdays. Check it out here at Moerlein Lager House. We are live here every Tuesday from 6 to 8. Happy hour goes from 3 till 9. So you come down here, have a great time, enjoy some music, enjoy some entertainment. You can hang out and make sure that Joe is Harrison actually is Joe allowed in the cookout yet, or is he still kicked out?
Cookout, the hell with it.
Your cookout ain't got shit on my cookout. Oh, don't act like you just out here.
I'm not cooking shit. So I'm gonna cook.
I know she could cook.
I can eat. It works.
You and your peas.
She
and
just
beans.
gave you the dirtiest look right now, and I hope you saw that.
She said, "My wife gonna cook." She said, "Cook yourself, damn it."
I love her. I love her.
She's the best part about
She's a
you.
good lady.
I got a smoker, and I can throw shit in the smoker. I'm good.
I don't know if I believe
Brisket,
brisket.
ribs,
Mm-hmm.
pork loin,
Mm-hmm.
wings.
Yeah, who's making the sides?
Yeah, are you pulling up what kind of? Yeah, what kind of baked beans are you pulling up into the function? It's
Ask
real
her.
quick.
He don't do.
I'm
He
not allowed to
don't, he
make
don't eat beans. Remember?
He don't eat them, but he's gonna bring them. Make it make sense. Make it make sense.
People like baked beans. I don't.
Harrison,
I'm staying out of this.
it's your cookout though.
I told you don't bring nothing. Just show up. Just show up. Bring the alcohol. That's what.
What would you
That I can
what
do.
would you have at your cookout? We got ribs.
Are
or
you
we
a bourbon
want
guy?
it, oh
Oh, I
yeah.
did.
Yeah.
They got they
Absolutely
can,
straight, man.
they can get it over bourbon. Yes. Oh yeah, he's up there. We're getting ready. Bronson's getting ready. Again, we're live down here at Moerlein. Oh, it's the wrong one. Yep, hold on. No, that's right. Oh, this one. That's what I wanted there. All right. Well,
Whoa. That's me, I think.
that is you. Yep.
I'm having
Already
trouble
down
with one of these chords.
Let's see here. Yep.
There we go.
Yeah. All right.
Getting cooler out. All right. This is called Lucky Pennies. I think he said something about, I just put this record out of just 8 songs, but I got another one coming out real soon. They're kind of folky songs, just pretty stories. This one's called Lucky Pennies. Thought about turning around. Made it clear you don't want to be found. Silence is pretty damn loud. Had to let you go. This love can't have a tight grip. No, this isn't close to how I wanted it. But here we're all the captains of our own ships. We'll all go down with it. I don't know where the west wind blows. It don't make the cut. I care to know like where we go when it's all said and done. I don't dwell long and I sure don't pray. Won't throw lucky pennies into yesterday. Been on my own 2 feet, like he used to say. Mm-hmm. Oh, mm-hmm. Oh, oh, never believe you were born in sin. You got one life, you better take it all in. And just rejoice in your skin, 'cause it's all you got. Worry about where you're going. There's no way in hell of ever knowing. So keep your head up high and keep going. Get ready or not. I don't know where the west wind blows. It don't make the cut. Things I care to know, like where we go when it's all said and done. I don't dwell long and I sure don't pray. Won't throw lucky pennies into yesterday. Stand on my own 2 feet, like he used to say. Oh, mm-hmm. Oh, 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 and I don't know where the west wind blows. It don't make the cut for things I care to know, like where we all go when it's all said and done. I don't play wrong and sure don't play won't throw lucky pennies into yesterday. Then on my home to be, you say. Mm-hmm. Oh, mm-hmm. Oh, mm-hmm. I was saying earlier that I was talking about being in the weight room with my father as a young kid. I said I had written a song about it. That's this one here called I Want You to Know. You'll hear it here in the chorus. I'll say, tighten up your fist. Don't you ever take no shit. Because I was showing Joe, my buddy that I wrote these songs with, I was showing him videos of me in the weight room after lifting weights, and I was punching a heavy bag. And he said, did your father say tighten up your fist? And I said, yeah. And he's like, oh, good, I got the chorus. So this goes, I want you to know. Goes up. Dad, I want you to know, in between your temper, you showed me the way. You taught me all about life and how to carry my own damn weight. So put another plate on the bar. You'll soon find out who you are, who you aren't. Yeah, ringing in my head all those words you would say. So tighten up your fist, don't you ever take no shit from no one. You're my son, don't you ever back down. You weren't taught to quit, boy, you were taught to win. And all the glory tomorrow comes from what you do now. What you gonna do now? Dad, I want you to know, in between you crazy, you spoke a lot of truth. And the man that I am now is from the man you were in my youth. I owe a lot of thanks to some people, but I owe the most to you. Anywhere that I go, a small piece of you goes too. And he'd say, tighten up your fist, don't you ever take no shit from no one. You're my son, don't you ever back down. You weren't taught to quit, boy, you were taught to win. And all the glory tomorrow comes from what you do now. What you gonna do now? Now that you're gone, the sun still sets at dawn. And the world don't care you ain't around. But your words had some weight, and they still resonate. And nothing's ever felt more profound. It's still hear him now. So tighten up your fist, don't you ever take no shit from no one. You're my son, don't you ever back down. You were taught to quit, boy, you were taught to win, and all the glory tomorrow comes from what you do now. What you gonna do now? Dad, I want you to know. Dad, I want you to know. Okay. All right, I'm gonna try something. These songs, when I wrote them with this past year, all these songs were written this past year, but they've got simple production on them. But I wanted you guys to hear a little bit of. I've only done this one other time. I tried it the other day and it worked all right. I'm gonna play you guys. The rest of my vocal and my guitar will be live, but the rest of it will be on these tracks. And let's see if we can do it. This song is called Street Fight. I'd had it for a couple of years, didn't know what it was going to be about. And then we decided, let's write something about like you're in a real street fight outside of a bar, but then you're kind of rubbing your wife raw. So this is called Street Fight. Let's see if we can find it here. Yeah. Well, there you go. Here it is. I wanted you to hear the production. Caught in the street fight, got fucked up walking down the bar by the glow of the flickering headlights. They took my money while I swallowed my pride. All the people just passed by, and it's the same kind of thing that I would have done any other night. We can all be blind. Whoa. My friends are passed out drunk at a bar. Oh, the pieces of my life fall apart. Sometimes you win and you're the hero. Sometimes you lose, it's all that she wrote. You're all alone, not a damn soul by your side. When you're caught in a street fight. So the same song, right? You have all these choices. So I'm trying to figure out how to play these songs, right? So that's one way to play along with it. But, you have these choices. It could be like the second verse could be, I fell in love with her baby blue eyes in the sapphire moonlight. You could do that, or I could be like, I could try to get the energy out of it and be like, fell in love with her baby blue eyes in the sapphire moonlight. The music died and our hearts got tossed to the wayside. Sweet whispers turn into daggers cut by the white lights. Yeah, how many white lights? And then lights say goodbye in the dark. The pieces of my life fall apart. Sometimes you win and you're the hero. Sometimes you lose, it's all that she wrote. You're all alone, not a damn soul by your side. When you're caught in the street fight. Never saw it coming. It's a freight train, you can't outrun it. So load up all your pistols, it's a bomb, you can't outgun it. 'Cause life happens while you're busy making other plans. Whoa, 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 I'm lying passed out drunk at a bar. Whoa, 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 pieces of my life fall apart. Sometimes you win, you're the hero. Sometimes you lose, it's all that she wrote. You're all alone, not a damn soul by your side. When you're caught in a street fight. When you're caught in a street fight.
All right, we're gonna bring Bronson back over here. If you guys have any questions, he'll be do a couple more songs here. If you guys got any questions that you want to ask Bronson here, my man Harrison's got a mic, so you guys can jump on,
Raise your hand
with him, and come on there, and you can ask any questions. So Bronson, I like how you were explaining how the different ways you can do the songs. How I know I'm trying to get the screen to go up. How do you is that something you came up with, or is it just you playing around with guitar, or people taught you that?
No, I mean it's just if you play music, you just know there's choices. You can play you can play individual notes, or you can strum the guitar with your fingers, or you could pick it, or you could flamenco it like the Spanish guys do. There's all different ways. Right. If you listen to if you ever see Paul Simon play, look up Paul Simon on YouTube and watch him play some of his hits from back in the day on these talk shows, and just the way he picks the guitar sitting there in a chair is very unique, So you have all these different ways, and I'm not a very good guitar player, so you're trying to figure out how do you get.
Well, you did pretty good. I think you're better. You give yourself credit for. I think.
Well, compared to people who actually play the guitar for a living, I'm terrible.
You can't play a lick. You did
right. If you can't play at all, then I'm fantastic. I get it.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah. All right, Harrison, you got a question here from the crowd?
Got a question. Bronson, I know you're doing a lot of music stuff now. I just wondered if you're ever interested in doing anything in baseball again, as far as helping out coaching or anything.
Yeah, the thing is, to be in the baseball world it's so time consuming, right? I mean, you can pop into spring training and stay there for a week and try to give your best effort to give what you have in your mind to the guys, but to be day in and day out at the ballpark at 11 a.m. and leaving at midnight every day is just something I never aspired to do. It's kind of why I played till I was 40, because I knew playing the game was magic and I knew coaching the game was very average. And I went to spring training that first year after I retired, and I stood out on the field for one day, and I watched Eric Davis and Barry Larkin with a fungo bat in their back pocket, and they hit a few ground balls and they talked all day. And I just migrated over to Clean Shoes with the clubhouse dudes and hang out with them. And I was like, I told Brian Price, I know I said I'd be here for a week, but I'm going to run that meeting for you tomorrow, and then I'm leaving. And he said, and he said, why? And I said, because I could pull weeds, and it would be more satisfying than just sitting and watching people taking pitchers fielding practice. It's just not my thing. Now, when you get to play catch with a 14 or 15-year-old kid who has an idea of how to pitch, but you can give him some information about how to grip a ball, or maybe have you ever thought of this or that? Those 2 or 3 hours I get with that is absolute magic. But in order to do that in pro ball, they want you there every day, and it's the
thinking part.
It's too much of a commitment.
Like I said, you're a deep thinker. You always like thinking, trying to figure stuff out.
Yes,
and I can totally see why.
It's nice to try to figure out the player.
Yes,
what can I say to Hunter Green to actually help him?
Right.
Which is hard to do if you're not with them every day.
Right.
So you kind of bounce a bunch of things off the wall. If me and Hunter have a conversation, I'll just ask him what's been going on. I need a template first. So it's how you been feeling? Are you healthy? Do you feel strong? Tell me what's going on in the games. What's bothering you? What's hard to do? What's easy to do?
Exactly.
How are you beating people now that you didn't beat them a year ago? If you give me all that, then I might be able to say, hey, here's a couple of options too. I'm watching your breaking ball, let's say, and it's it's a little flat sometimes. I see it backing up. It's the only pitch of yours that's maybe not lights out. So I'm maybe step across your body by a couple extra inches and see if you can get a better rotation on the ball. And he might not have known that.
Right.
And maybe that helps. But, if you're not in the locker room with the guys every day, it's very difficult to make an impact.
All right, Harrison, guess what's your name and what's your question?
My name's Jim. I got a question about August 10th, 2003, when you pitched that perfect game. What was your thoughts going through your head in that last pitch, that last batter?
The last batter? Yeah,
Did you know it was going to be a perfect game?
Yeah, it was. The game was normal until I think after the 6th inning. And then the 7th inning, it was kind of all right, it's getting a little weird. And then after the 8th inning, I went inside to get a cup, a half a cup of coffee, and you could just hear the crowd. It was the whole stadium was rumbling while we were hitting, just waiting for those last 3 outs. And probably the most intense game I've ever been a part of, including World Series, just that last 3 outs. And, I think I struck out 2 guys on all curveballs, I think. I had a really good breaking ball that day, and it was just I'm not going to even take a chance of giving up a base hit on a ground ball with a sinker away. So it's if you hit my breaking ball today,
Go with your best
hats
stuff.
off. But if you
Yep.
don't, I'm going with the best stuff. And
Right.
so the last out was a ground ball to my buddy Andy Abad at first base, and it was an odd thing because it's something that like puts you in a place that you'll never be in anywhere else on a baseball field for that quick moment in time. So much pressure about trying to get these 3 outs, and it's the first time I'd ever felt like I was indebted to the fans to get the 3 outs. By the time you got to the end of the game, it felt like, oh, if you let these people down, it's going to be terrible.
Right.
But
so were you quote unquote in the zone then? Like where everybody
it felt like a totally
all
normal
goes out?
day. I had a little bit of a snappier breaking ball that day, and I probably felt pretty strong. But I came out of my parking garage in Providence, Rhode Island that morning, and my magnetic card didn't open the garage door. It wasn't working, so I got out of the car, and it was kind of a tight squeeze, and I smashed my right elbow up against the corner of the thing, and it was swelling a little bit. And like for a guy who's got a pitch, who's thinking about
That's
his
not
elbow,
good. Yeah.
You're constantly bouncing your elbow. At least I was, and being like, "Can I touch my shoulder with my thumb?" Like,
Right.
you want to know if there's any swelling in there, and it was like swelling up, and I'm like, "Oh gosh, here we go. I got to pitch today." But as the game got progressing, sometimes you don't even know exactly why things are working that day. It could just be.
Works.
I think in that Buffalo Bison's lineup that day too, I think it was something weird. Like they had come in at 3:00 in the morning because they had extra innings in some other place, so they didn't even have their whole regular lineup in there or something. Like it was, there's so many variables. It's like to throw a perfect game is just almost like luck.
It's and well, not Homer didn't throw a perfect game, but I threw two no hitters, which is ridiculous. And the only guy who ever has done back-to-back no hitters is Cincinnati Reds Johnny Van Meter, which I don't think that'll ever happen again. Back-to-back is unbelievable. I don't
Almost
know how you do
impossible.
one.
Yeah. The only guy I could think of that I would even want to say, like, if it ever happened, it would have been him, is probably Verlander. Like, seems like he's had that ability. But you take away those two. Look, so you could say my perfect game is, a bit of luck of the draw, right? And Homer's back-to-back, or not back-to-back, but the 2 no-hitters in the same year.
Years, but
yeah, it's like you take that away from him. And, do we give him $105 million? Who knows, right? It's like little things like that can morph how you view people.
Right.
And that's the kind of stuff I was talking about that the front office should ask questions about, because those little tiny nuggets you can only know when you hang out with the dudes and you shower with them.
Yeah.
You don't know that about people when you're not in the room with them.
When you're naked in a shower with another dude, it's a different kind of level of friendship.
You know what's going on.
Relax, Jeff.
Listen, y'all don't want to hear stories about like the greatest pitcher of all time, Greg Maddux, standing in the shower. Imagine you're a rookie. Greg Maddux is standing in the shower with you, and he wants to talk to you about pitching. And he gets like 3 feet away from you, and he's like, "I want to talk to you about your curveball," but you don't know it. He's peeing on you the whole time. Try that on for size, bro. That's real.
He did that.
That's awesome.
He did that multiple times.
That's awesome. All right, Harrison, got somebody outside. What's your name? What's your question?
Yeah, name's Ryan. Bronson. Love Jizza Red, your time here. Appreciate everything. Love watching you pitch.
Thank you.
I'm going to rewind to the 04 series against the Yankees when A-Rod knocked that ball out of your hand going down to first. Were there any words said right after it happened or after the game, or have you guys talked since about that whole exchange?
No, I've actually never had a conversation with Alex. I've never shook his hand. I played against him in high school. I was a sophomore. I was playing shortstop. He was a senior playing shortstop. They came to our hometown. They beat us in extra innings. In the 9th inning, he hit a 2-2 changeup out of the park for a homer. He was 1 for 3 with a walk up to that point. And he beat us that day. And they asked me some stuff about him in the paper. And I gave him like a million kudos. And then at the end, I said, I was on second base in that game in 1993. And Alex walked up to the umpire in the infield and said to the umpire, "Tell that umpire behind home plate that we get those calls back home." And I thought it was super brash for an 18-year-old to say that. And so I said that in the paper. And the next day in the New York Times, it read, "Arroyo's disdain for A-Rod goes back to high school." And so, with that little twist right there, I'm sure, and then the next day they interviewed him and he called me Brandon. He's like, basically, who is this peon to even tell me anything, right? Like, I've got 600 homers, and who is he?
He's the guy who beat you in the World Series, bitch.
Well, it was before that. And so I've never had a conversation with Alex, but we have mutual friends, and they say, "Oh man, you guys should have lunch." But when he knocked the ball out of my hand that day, I had already hit him on July 24th, and we had that big brawl when Pedro Martinez threw down Don Zimmer on the field. And so you've
West
got
High legend,
yes,
Don
sir.
Zimmer.
West Side, baby.
you've got all this hate from that fight all the way through the next fight for the next year, and then I'm about to tag him out nice and easy, and I guess his brain just defaulted to like strategy. And it was like, I think I should try this, but there was no words exchanged. I was standing on second base, and he was arguing to the umpires that was his normal running motion. And then this is funny though. He looked over at me. He looked over at me, smiling on second base, talking to Orlando Cabrera.
Yeah.
And he said to the umpires, because I could read his lips, he said, look, he's laughing at you because you got the call wrong. And
That's balls right there, dude. That's balls.
I know. But so, it's just kind of weird happenstances that have happened in our lives. But I would love to have a conversation with him because I know he's a baseball nerd and I know he loves the game. And I know what I did in the weight room as a kid would probably be, thought-provoking for him. And he also was kind of raised in a way by Doug Minkiewicz, our first baseman on that team. In high school, Doug's mom kind of took him in as like a surrogate and they give him lunch money and they played on that Miami Westminster team together. So I know that, there's many people that enjoy A-Rod and love a lot of things about him, but I've never had a conversation.
There you go. All right, one more and then we'll get back to the music. Go ahead. What's your name and what's your question?
Hey, Bronson, this is Jason Wall. How you doing, bro?
Doing good.
What's your favorite Pearl Jam song to play when you do live?
Favorite Pearl Jam song to play?
Song, baby.
Yeah, my favorite Pearl Jam song of all time is Black. But playing live, I'd say it changes from time to time. And we just put Rearview Mirror in the set for the first time the last 2 or 3 shows. And man, does it have some really cool, it feels like a truck rolling down the road. It's just got some really good
absolute driving
speed to its driver. Yeah, it's
at the end when they're just all going all in, beating the shit out of the drums. That's why I love the actual recording. You can hear, and I can't remember if it was Cruisin' or Ebershazy, whoever, throw the sticks against the wall. You hear them rattle at the end of the track on the song.
That's amazing.
He played it so hard in so many takes.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, one thing, real quick, we got one more question, but I want to bring this up here. The I can't remember what the video is, but the pencil that Eddie has in that video. What's that?
Oh, the pen.
The pen that he gave you. Tell that story real quick.
Yeah, I was in Orlando, 2012, small theater, about 5,000 seater, and Eddie Vedder's playing solo, and at that time he's playing like a lot of the stuff from the movie soundtrack from Into the Wild, and he's playing a lot from the Ukulele album, and then he's mixing in 10 Pearl Jam songs, but he doesn't play Even Flow Alive. He doesn't play a lot of those songs off the 10 record by himself because he didn't write a lot of those guitar parts,
more intimate parts,
and he called me out of the crowd. I didn't have his phone number back then. He called me out of the crowd about after the first encore, and I jumped up on the stage and he whispered in my ear, "Do you know how to play Black?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "I'll get you in 2 songs." And so we wound up playing the song in the theater, just me and him. And then he handed me an envelope at the end of the performance, and I forgot about it until later. And I got back to my hotel room, and it was a letter from him that just in beautiful handwriting. I mean, his handwriting is like a work of art.
Definitely not like my handwriting. Mine looks like
his calligraphy, just even on the set list.
Yes, he loved the calligraphy on the set list. That's exactly what he writes in all the time when he writes you a letter. And so it said, Bronson, last time we were together, we talked about songwriting, lucky typewriters, and pens. And he said, I got this one in Santa Monica many years ago, this otherwise fairly ordinary writing utensil. And he said, I'm passing this one on to you. I know it's got some good juju left in it to write some good songs.
That's
from your friend Ed. And, that's what I've written some songs with. And he gave me another one in Indianapolis this past year.
Oh, really?
Because I had sent him some demos of these songs and he never answered me. But that's Eddie's answer is I'm going to give you a pen because I see you're doing the work. Keep going. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I do got a question. Where do you stand on Present Tense? I think that's their most underrated best song, at least off of the early albums. But
I love Present Tense.
Have you ever played it? Because it's more.
Yeah, I love it. It's in drop D, and it's kind of weird to play, but you can get it. I can do it and sing it, but it's a strange song, and it's oddly there's a lot of their songs have kind of a weird structure in a way, and that one's very, very odd. And it's just I agree with you, man. It's so quiet and beautiful, and then he just rips at the end. It's like. It feels like it takes you to another place. It's definitely a song that the average listener doesn't know, but they should because the message in it is just ridiculous.
It's a beautiful song, beautiful lyrics, and again, Mike McCready's the most underrated guitarist in music in the past 50 years, for that matter.
All right, one more question for my beautiful wife here, and then we'll get back to the music. Go ahead.
Back to The Masked Singer. I'm always curious about production. Was that filmed recently or was it months ago?
No, it was, I think the show started in late September. I think we filmed, and I was filming near the end. So I was filming in July. like mid to late July, I think. And then they were probably going 1 or 2 more rounds to finish it up. And then so what is that? August, September. So it's probably like a 2-month lag.
Okay.
How hard was it to keep that a secret?
It was kind of hard just because, like I tell my buddies in the band, like I'm coming to LA and I'll be there for maybe 2 weeks or 10 days.
Right.
And they're like,
why are you
for
here?
what?
Right. Exactly.
And I'm like, I'm not supposed to talk about it.
I'm just hanging out, dude.
They got me on one of those Donald Trump NDAs, man. I'm not allowed to speak about it.
So did they film like day after? Were you singing almost every day, or did you
No,
get a break?
you'd sing like, I sang once, day off, sang again, day off, sang again.
Wow.
And then it was kind of going like that. And then if I would have got past that one round, it was going to be like a whole nother week. There was a couple more days coming off. There was a lot of new stuff you were going to have to learn. And they were also trying to push me to do songs that I had never sang before. So I was going to have to try to learn those, find what key it would be in, and figure out some sort of, because they record their own parts. Like,
really? Okay.
Those aren't just like karaoke tracks they grab or whatever. Those songs, once you get the keys you want, they create them on the spot, like with their production, and then they send them to you and say, do you like that key? Sing along with it. Send us a version. We want to hear you sing over it. Okay, yeah, we like that. Now we'll finish it up and we'll really polish it up for you. So
That's cool.
So would you sing live in the costume? Like you had a mic, a headset?
No,
mic
there's
or
no
something?
headset in there.
So
My microphone was live.
So you had to project that through.
I had
Through the
to,
mask.
this is the weird thing.
Yeah.
You're so used to singing and you don't have to think about where to put the microphone.
Right.
You just grab your mouth.
Yeah.
Right.
You don't know where your mouth is.
This one, the hole was down here. You don't know where your mouth is, and you can't see. So you're having to like deal with choreography and keep your head up, but you got to find this hole to stick the microphone in, or it's not going to get a good sound. It was definitely, anybody who got up there and does that, who's never sang before, is man, I got a lot of guts.
Well, hats off to you, man, because it's hard just singing a dog costume. So let's go. Bronson here. He's gonna go sing some more songs again. We are live down here at Moerlein Lager House. It is Prime Rib Tuesday night, so make sure you guys come on down here. $29.95 for Prime Rib. We are here live every Tuesday from 6 to 8. Happy hour is extended from 3 to 9. What does that mean? It means $5 drafts, house wines, well drinks, and $2 off appetizers. Also, we have one more. Mercedes-Benz at Fort Mitchell Moerlein Lager House pregame experience. It is the best deal on the banks. Open bar, open buffet. How much is that? $100, $200, $75. That's it. Come on down. Let's have some fun. Good, Bronson, take it away.
What you say, talking loud, not saying much. Bit of pride, yeah, but all your bullets ricochet. Shoot me down, but I could help. Bulletproof, nothing to lose. Fire away, fire away. Ricochet, take your aim. Fire away, fire away. Shoot me down, I won't fall. No, I am tired. Take me up. Shoot me down, I won't fall. No, I am tired. Take me on, cut me down. But it's you who has further to fall. Ghost town and a haunting love. Raise your voice. Yeah, but sticks and stones may break my bones. Shoot me down, but I get up. Bulletproof, nothing to lose. Fire away, fire away. Ricochet, take your aim. Fire away, fire away. Shoot me down, but I won't fall. No, I am tired. Take me up. Shoot me down, I won't fall. No, I am tired. Take me up. though I am titanium. Stone hard machine gun, firing on the ones who run. Stone hard, a bulletproof vest. Shoot me down, I won't fall. No, I am titanium. Shoot me down, I won't fall. No, I am titanium. Yes, I am titanium. Yes, I am titanium. This one's not on this record, but this one's coming out on the next one. It's called Cowboys and Indians. I was Superman in a tire swing, swinging from oak trees, saving civilians in the yard with my friends. Cowboys and Indians, rescuing dames, plastic pistols in hand. Oh, bullets are flying, there's hell to be made. The enemy is crafty, but be not afraid. There's blood and there's tears, and there's glory and fame. Mom, how come running when the dinner bell rings? Oh. Kennedy says, do what you can for your country. Lay down your life, yeah, the price is quite high. War may get ugly, but you're serving your country, so buck up and lie. Oh, bullets are flying, hell to be made. The enemy is crafty, but be not afraid. There's blood and there's tears, and there's glory and fame. Mom and Dad, don't worry, I'll be home by the spring. Many made it home, but some not so lucky. Life is a gamble, war is snake eyes. Your boots make it muddy, the sun ain't always sunny, 'cause it's a roll of the dice. Oh, how fickle is life, and bullets are flying, hell to be made. The enemy is crafty, but be not afraid. There's blood and there's tears, and there's glory and fame. And for some folks it's sunshine and sweet lemonade. And for some folks they won't make it home for the spring. Take me a second here to tune. Is it sounding okay going out to the world? Yeah? All right. You know, when you put a capo on a guitar like this, it's like a clamp to change the beginning of the guitar is, and it puts like a little loop in the line. So you have to retune it every single time you do that. And a lot of these songs were written they were written somewhere else originally without the capo, but I'm putting them in keys that I can personally sing them in, that I'm enjoying, or that I can play along with them. So you have to kind of change it around a little bit.
This one is this is a happier tune. This one's called This Kind of Love. It goes summer days wrapped in a haze, wrapped in your hazel eyes. Hear 'em say it's just a phase. Young love ain't for life. I don't know. Love's got legs. I can walk you home till forever ends. Autumn nights, pretty leaves, bringing out your smile. Take you back to memories of when you were a child. I don't know what I don't know. But we should ride this wave. Let's see how far it goes. Nowadays, the honeymoon phase is all but dead and gone. We have our fights, you say your shit, we get some moving on. I hurt you, you hurt me. Forgive, forget. C'est la vie. 'Cause this kind of love ain't for the weak. It's a 4-lane highway and driving at light speed. Let the seatbelt be your arms, let the airbag be your heart, and just let your love come crashing into me. This kind of love ain't meant for all. Give and take, some folks try and take it all. You only get what you put in, so I'll give you everything and just let your love come crashing into me. I said, oh, I love you from the start. Oh, I know the world gets dark. Oh, you always had my heart. You always had my heart. You always had my heart. This kind of love ain't for the weak. The 4-lane highway and driving at light speed. So reach out and take my hand, 'cause I'll always be your man. Just let your love come crashing into me. Yeah, just let your love come crashing into me. Oh, just let your love come crashing into me. One more? One more? All right. All right. This next one here is a lot of these songs were written, like I said, with my buddy Joe Jordan. He's an Atlantic music artist now. They signed him in the middle of us signing these, writing these songs, and he's got to give them 62 songs over the next few years. And but when we're writing, a lot of times I'll give him an idea of what might want to write about, but it's not super direct. It might just be like, oh, I want to write about a bad relationship with the husband and wife, or kind of at each other, but they're not done with each other. You know, it's like in the doghouse, but not divorced. And then he might take that and filter it through his own brain. So when we're writing the song, sometimes there's lines in there that aren't personal to me. But this song, that day, I said, hey, I want to write this about my center fielder from high school who just died of COVID. He's 44 years old. And this one's called Just a Tree. It's just a Thursday. I thought of you. It's an awful strange thing what a memory can do. It's just a tree. It's brown and green. But it spoke to me, rustling the leaves and the breeze. Wherever you are, wherever you've gone, it don't feel fair to me, but hell, who am I? I heard an old song, the words all felt wrong. I broke 3 of my knuckles on the dining room wall. Ooh. And I
ain't so far and neither are you. It's just a Friday. You came to mind. It's funny how you surface at the strangest of times. It's just the snow painting the road. Feels heavier than ever, and why I don't. Wherever you are, wherever you've gone, but it don't feel fair to me, but hell, who am I? I heard an old song, the words all felt wrong. I broke 3 of my knuckles on the dining room wall. And I laughed 'cause I knew that you would laugh with me too. Baby, gone ain't so far and neither are you. Baby, gone ain't so far and neither are you. Oh, I'll always leave, yeah, the light on, yeah. Oh, if you come home. Oh, I'll always leave, yeah, those light on, yeah. Oh, if you come home. Maybe someday, one Sunday will come pass me by. One day I'll realize you never came mine. In the peace of your past felt something sublime. Baby, gone ain't so far behind. Baby, gone ain't so far and I ain't far behind. Da 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 da. Okay, one more. We'll end on a happy note. How about here? We'll end on a. How about this one? We'll end on. Well, it's not really a happy song actually. I was gonna play a happy one, and then thought of something different. This one's a story about somebody cheating in a small town. You're not really sure if you can show your face around town because everybody knows you, because it's a small little place, and but in this story, the girl's the one that cheated. So the guy was worried about coming back to this small town, but he can walk around town feeling good about himself. It's a fictitious story, though, totally made up. Lord, breaking up in a small town would be hard. Thought of seeing you walking down Main, wrapped up in another man's arms. I thought of people staring at me, wondering how I did you wrong. That ain't the way it plays out in this damn song. 'Cause you said he was just a friend, and I believed you then. I caught you at the bar with your lips on him, and we broke up and he left you. I found somebody new. I don't mind being in the same small town as you, 'cause even your mom and dad, when they see me around town, say, You're the one that messes up and they're happy for me now. I'm at the bar and a friend there buy me shots. Can't believe what you did to me, so they're healing up my heart. I love this town, don't have to pack it up and leave it. But breaking up in a small town ain't hard. You ain't the one that cheated. Yeah, you're the one that cheated, girl. Oh, I don't mean you will or wish you harm. But you reap what you sowed, and you sowed a cheating heart. I don't feel bad, you don't feel like showing your face. While I'm walking around the streets of this town like the mayor of this whole place, singing. Even your mom and dad, when they see me around town, say, you're the one that messes up, and they're happy for me now. And I'm at the bar and a friend there buy me drinks. You'll hold up in a one-bedroom worrying about what they might think. I love this town, don't have to pack it up and leave it. But breaking up in a small town ain't hard. You ain't the one that cheated. Yeah. Oh, you said he was just a friend, and I believed you then. I caught you at that bar with your lips on him. Even your mom and dad, when they see me around town, say, you're the one that messes up, and they're happy for me now. And I'm at the bar, and a friend there buy me shots. Can't believe what you did to me, but they're healing up my heart. I love this town, don't have to pack it up and leave it. But breaking up in a small town ain't hard. You ain't the one that cheated. No, you're the one that cheated. Yeah. All right. Thanks for listening, guys.
Once again, I'm not back up. Can you bring me up there? Once again, hello. Bring it up. Give it up for Bronson Oreo. All right, Harrison. I'm gonna give you the floor here to end the show. What questions are you dying to ask Bronson, brother? Burning questions from Harrison.
So like when you do like music and like you doing your thing, like do you ever like get nervous and like while you performing like for like comedy, we bomb. Like if you're not laughing, we gotta sit there and keep telling a joke.
Does that happen to you a lot?
I mean, no, but it has. I'm not gonna lie. Like you just like are up there, you're like, they're not feeling this. But like I get 10 minutes and I can't just be like, well, all right, I'm gonna go. Like,
Crowd work
my
done.
time.
Thanks. Tip your waiters.
But like for like music, like because I mean people have to listen, so it's like quiet. But then like after, like if they just like,
yeah, it's so here's the thing. I've learned that peeling back the layers over the years. I've been playing for 25 years and still feel very green sometimes, right? I mean, I'm not that comfortable with the guitar. I don't know a lot about equipment, so I'm always worried that it doesn't sound great. I'm comfortable singing stuff that I feel like that I can sing, but what I've done over the years is when I go to band practice or if I'm playing by myself in the basement, like whenever you rehearsing your thing, it's a little easier for me because the music creates a vibration. And I'm always looking to be inside of this bubble. If I can be inside of that musical bubble where I feel the guitar enough and I can feel my own vocal, right? So the speakers matter a lot. And so if I can do that, then I can say I'm having a good time while I'm doing it and not be outside myself, like just kind of be present tense. It took a while to try to do that, even with the full band on stage. It's like, how do you serve the people, but also enjoy the moments yourself? As a comedian, I would think it's going to be tougher because you don't have that vibration to like hide behind. You're a little bit more naked. But in my mind, I would be thinking of some sort of a routine physically, whether I'm kind of like walking in a circle if it's a bad night or whatever I'm doing. I'm creating something that's going to make this pocket for me. And then I'm going to try to dig and see if I can enjoy the moments, even if they're not laughing, right? It's like, I'm going to try to deliver this for myself. It's a little harder But sometimes I could be playing music too, and no one's listening at all, right? It's like they're just chatting, and now you're just like background music, which is fine.
That happens a lot at this show. Nobody pays attention to what we say half the time. So I feel what you're saying.
Right. So in those moments, I tell myself it goes back to the same thing. It's like play for yourself, play for yourself, play for yourself. Right. So if I can give myself goosebumps in the basement, what I struggle with all the time is rushing. I'll listen back. Somebody could film me tonight and play back and I'll go, God, dog, I'm still rushing because I talk fast and I play fast.
Yeah.
So like that last song, the one that cheated, I'm saying play like you're slow as you could possibly play. And even then it's probably too fast. And so I'm playing those tricks with myself. You got a whole nother set of tricks that you're playing with yourself, but you just have to find something that makes you feel like you could enjoy the night, even if the people don't laugh. And that's probably tough to do.
No, it is awkward, but you know it works. It's just not for that room sometimes.
Right.
But then sometimes it's just a bad night.
It's not my day, right?
Yeah, you just gotta.
Do you have something physical that you could lean back on to like try to snap people out of something?
Well, in comedy, I just always go to, I'm gonna kill myself, and then
there you go. Okay.
and
or you wonder where Corey Dillon is your dad.
Like that kind of is like. Okay, like he knows that
right.
joke
It's not happening, right?
So yeah, so like
right.
silly things like that, where it's like, all right, maybe now you are like an edgier crowd or something.
Right.
Still,
I'd say you got to figure out what your crowd is. What you're playing to.
Well, you never know walking into a comedy show. Like it could be a room full of all females, all males. Like, you'll think, oh, I can't talk about like football with females. They're laughing
right.
harder.
Hey, what are you talking about?
Well, it's a lot, but I mean, I can only imagine trying to music and what's going in your head. And
yeah. I've taken probably the last 7 years, literally, to sit in my basement with the lights low and be like, put yourself in a little bit of an uncomfortable situation. Like you can't see that good, you can't see the guitar that good, and like, can you make it sound good to yourself? And the more that I've done that, I could slow down and try to enjoy the moments. It's partly what made me who I was on the mound, because most guys can't figure out how to be on the mound and be 100% comfortable, even if they're getting their butt kicked until late in their career. But I figured that out a little earlier than most, where I could kind of like be in my own skin and be like, I know I'm throwing 85. I don't care.
That's what I got.
You still have to fucking hit me, right? And that's hard to do in the beginning, but I've gotten better at it. Pitching, it came, pretty quick. Musically, it's taken me 20 years. And in every show I play, don't matter if it's just like this or a full-on whatever, it never feels. The only time I can say that it feels like it's really dialed is if you put 150, 200, 300 people in a room, they're dead silent, like in a theater, and the music is dialed in, and you can just really tell the story slow and quiet. Then it's like, ooh, it's like you being in that club where everything feels good. They're laughing at the right times, and they don't realize that they're giving you so much to fuel on.
Yeah.
But people don't recognize that sometimes. And then sometimes you could be on the stage and a microphone could be bad, and that could throw your whole freaking night off.
Yeah.
Right. And so there's all these things going on.
Yeah, we have those problems a lot here sometimes with equipment. It's been a struggle. But again, we are live down here at Moerlein Lager House. We are down here each and every Tuesday night. If you guys have not been down here, why the hell not? Because it's the best deal, best show, I think, at Moerlein Lager House from 6 to 8. Happy hour starts at 3, goes to 9. They got $5 drafts, house wines, drinks.
Wow.
I know. I was getting late. I can't talk. $2 off appetizers, and it's also Prime Rib Tuesday, which I know Greg, the owner of this place, right over there, give him a hand. Thanks, Greg. He's the reason all this happened. They're enjoying some prime rib tonight, so make sure you guys get down here and enjoy some prime rib. Bronson, before I let you go, and honestly, I appreciate you coming down. This has been one of the best shows we've done down here. Where can people find your music? When's your next concert? What do you got going on?
We're done with full band concerts for the year, but if you look on the Bronson Oreo band Facebook page, it will get updated. I think I just found out today, I'm 99% sure we're going to be playing on the back of a trailer through the opening day parade.
Oh, for real?
Awesome.
So we're going to rip
awesome.
full band electric.
When you get done with the trailer, come here because I'm doing something here. I don't know what yet, right? I'm doing something right here. I'm doing something here opening day. He said, "Yeah." So yeah, we'll do something.
So we're trying to do that, but we don't have a lot on the board. We tried to cut it off at the end of November and take a couple of months just to kind of like freshen up a little bit. But that is where you can find the live shows around here. To find my music that I just put out, just anywhere you listen to your stuff or buy your music, you can find it. And I've got another record coming probably within 60 days. I'll throw it on Instagram, but I'm not trying to push to like it's hard work to try to get your stuff out there.
Oh yeah.
So I'm trying to make the music.
Yeah.
I'm finding that just by making this music that's satisfying me, people are resonating with it more than me trying to push everything. So I'm just doing that. I'm going to put the music out, let a few people know on the Instagram, and hopefully it just seeps into, people's minds at some point.
Well, it's funny you say that because like you and Harris talking, if I like doing the show, if I think it's interesting or something that I'm interested in, or then most people are. So that's like if it's something that I like and I think's funny. Not that I'm a funny guy, but people are entertained, and
Right.
you can tell how that goes from a live show to playing music to doing comedy. I mean, Joe, shut the fuck up. It's just you can tell how things go.
Yeah.
You said it perfect though, because like you gotta slow pace it, kind of, because you'll oversaturate or burn yourself out. Now you don't like music. It's the same with comedy and like trying to hit open mics all the time, because every night is a mic and you just get burnt out like real quick, because you'll start being like, man.
And the funny thing is, you like doing it, but you get tired of doing it sometimes.
Yeah, and especially like every show is not 100 people. It's like maybe 1 or 2 in a hole in a wall bar, and you got to fight with a drunk guy to get a joke.
You mean like we did at Millions the first night?
Yeah. It's just you never know, but like you said it perfect. Like just do it your way, how you want it, and take a break, because you will burn it out.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Neil, where can everybody find you at?
Yeah, so everyone can follow me on Twitter at MeyerNeil6. You can find me on all social media aspects as well. But check out our work at Cincinnati.rivals.com. I'm Cincinnati's beat rival for Rivals.com. And then I also co-host the Bearcat Blitz podcast on what used to be Bally Sports Ohio with my co-host Russ Heltman. So you can find me on all things Cincinnati Bearcats on those 3 platforms.
And the Bearcats are going to beat Xavier, right?
Yeah, Bearcats take on Xavier
Let's
this Saturday.
go.
So if you got nothing hanging on, Crosstown Shootout, 5th Third Arena, 2 o'clock. Get their support, and then come down to Moerlein. Enjoy your weekend.
Well, and then
Actually,
before that,
Harrison's got a comedy show.
Saturday night.
Yeah,
Where you at?
I have a comedy show Saturday at the Comet Bar in Northside. It's
And then everyone come out and enjoy SantaCon right on Harrison.
yeah.
You said Comet, like COMET,
yep.
Comet Bar.
Yep, and over in Northside. It's 7 and 9:30.
So this is on Sunday or Saturday?
Saturday.
What time again?
7 and 9. Aren't you listening?
No,
Hey,
I'm not.
3
That's
feet
why I
away
asked.
from you, asshole.
Hard time hearing sometimes.
I'm contemplating on if I'm gonna go to Tennessee on Sunday morning. So we'll see.
Is there gonna be a prayer there?
You know it is.
It's a beautiful Sunday.
Beautiful Monday. Yes.
There you go. Yeah, it was a beautiful Monday yesterday.
Amazing. I never knew a muff punt, block punt could turn so good.
It was the greatest muff punt ever.
Nick Vigil
Vigil.
is still playing in the league.
I know. I was shocked.
I have not
did
seen
see
him
that.
since he was turned into a meme by
did-
Lamar Jackson.
Didn't he play with Andy and them? Was he on that team?
Yes.
Yeah, he was with late, like mid to late
Yeah. And he's still playing.
2010s. He was in Minnesota for a while with
I was shocked.
Zimmer likes him. That's why he's there.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad he liked to be. Well, I'm glad he liked the other guy who touched the ball and gave us the game.
Here's the thing: Jung Meadow was the one who missed the block that allowed the block kick.
But then-
He's the one that recovered the muff after.
Great play.
Yeah,
He had it all planned out.
Exactly. It's checkers, not chess.
There you go. All right, Joe, you got any final words before we get the heck out of here?
If you want to find me, I probably got a bourbon in my hand.
Yes, that's true.
Outside of that, I mean, anywhere you can find, like that's you can look into me.
You can listen to his great content on, read his great content on Twitter.
Why would no one wants that?
Anyway, guys, I'll see you guys here next Tuesday. Follow me on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff. We're here live every Tuesday on Sports Strawberry Ice, and that's just sports, baby. See ya.
Weekday nights, the city roars. Tune in loud, turn up some more. Cincinnati show, it's time to play. Sports with strawberry ice today. 5:30 sharp, don't be late. TTV, the sports awaits. Strawberry ice, he's on the mic, energy, it's good delight. Every touchdown, every goal. Feel the pulse, it's in your soul. Cincinnati heartbeats strong. Strawberry ice will lead the throng. Every touchdown, every goal. Feel the pulse, it's in your soul. Cincinnati heartbeat strong. Strawberry ice will lead the throng. Feel the crowd, it's electric now. Shouting loud, they all know how. The CTV got what we crave. Sports with ice, it's waves and waves. Tigers strike and Bengals roar. Every game we want some more.